It's a terrible, brand new week. It's Monday, and here we are ushering you into the commencement of another week. My name is Benjamin Akakwa. I do this together with Sweetie Abochi, and we call this the AM Show. Welcome aboard. Now, coming up, we'll be serving you the news in a bit, followed by sports, and then we'll bring you the news review courtesy of James Kwabena Bonfe Jr. He is CEO of Census and a lecturer at UPSA. Dr. Ezekiel Obing is with the NPP's Communications Directorate, and then we have from the other end, the NDC's Communications Directorate or team, Wanda Madillo. And then we get into our big stories for today. Now, Ghana Water Company, the Ghana Water Company Limited, has commenced spillage of excess water from the Weija Dam, and it's warning residents of some catchment areas, Tetegu, Oblogo, Pambro, Salt, Lower McCarthy Hill, Lower Weija, Bojo Beach, Adakope, and surrounding communities to move away to avert a catastrophe. Today, we'll be finding out how residents are bracing themselves in the light of this caution. This wouldn't be the first time. I've been there personally in the past, and it always comes with some repercussions. How is it going to be managed this time? On the second leg of our conversations, we'll be telling you about mental health. Not that you don't know about it, but did you know that 95% of people with mental health conditions are impacted by, you guessed it, stigma? As we observe Purple Month, one set aside by the Mental Health Authority to create awareness on mental health issues, we discuss stigmatization and the prejudices against people living with or contending with this challenge. Of course, it could be anybody. No need for stigma, right? We'd invite you to join us with your thoughts via the social media handles, and also should we activate the phone lines, which likely we would do, to join us with your thoughts there as well. Don't you forget, the AM Show is proudly sponsored by Weija Properties. We provide quality housing at an affordable cost and with a flexible payment option. On that note, I invite you to stay with us. The news is up next. Welcome aboard the news belt of the AM Show. And kickstarting matters, the Ghana Private Road Transport Union is urging passengers to report commercial drivers who refuse to implement the newly announced 15% fare reduction. The union says commuters should take note of vehicle registration numbers and report non-compliant drivers to the police for action. Now, although the fare cuts officially took effect on Saturday, May the 24th, 2025, some drivers continue to charge the old rates, prompting the GPRTU to warn of disciplinary action against defiant members. Now, speaking earlier on Joy News Room, Public Relations Officer of the GPRTU, Abbas Ibrahim Moro, appealed to drivers to ease the financial burden on passengers.
They are not our members, or I would say members of any registered transport union. You see, those who made the laws for us always think ahead. In the statutory books of the LI 21, one of the punitive measures over there is to, especially those people. I read an article this morning on one of the social media that one driver even picked passengers halfway, he returned with those passengers to circle and force them to apply from his vehicle that he's not going to take the new reduction fare. It's just unfortunate because these are the people whom the law says if you are not registered with any transport union or even you haven't registered as a transport operator, you are not supposed to operate. Here we are, we have allowed these people freely outside the laws. And here they are. The law is there. We have advised anybody who refuses. Anybody who refuses to reduce, meaning he's cheating the passengers that he has taken the old fares from them. So we advise any similar case should be reported to the police. We have police all over, we have the police stations, and every vehicle has a registered number as well. I strongly believe, effective from tomorrow, we don't see different things on the road. We are not aiming for that. We are not praying that the driver only shown that I'm going to look for my daily bread out of his negligence will be arrested and put behind bars. We have been given this privilege this law has been given to us. Whenever things changes, we have to assemble and make sure we come out with what has changed, and that we want to stand on that to increase law first. It's the same law which gives us this leeway. After all, this is not the first time we are reducing law first. In later part in 2022, we came up with similar issue. I mean, that one was 15.3. We came down, reduction.
Now, President John Mahama says that for too long, the legacy of slavery, colonialism, and neocolonialism have cast a long shadow over the lives and progress of Africans and people of African descent. Now, speaking in a video message to commemorate African Union Day, President Mahama, who is also the AU champion for reparatory justice for Africans and people of African descent, called on African leaders, civil society organizations, and the diaspora to come together to seek justice through a comprehensive range of measures like apologies from nations responsible for perpetrating these historical injustices, addressing the crippling debt burden, a direct consequence of exploitation, and unfair trade practices, as well as returning stolen artifacts and cultural treasures.
Africans, esteemed leaders, brothers and sisters of the African continent, it is with great honor that I address you today on the occasion of Africa Day 2025. As we gather in Addis Ababa and connect across our vast continent and beyond, we celebrate our resilience, our rich heritage, and our unwavering spirit. This year, our celebration is particularly significant. The African Union has declared 2025 as the year for justice for Africans and people of African descent through reparations. As the AU champion for this critical cause, I'm deeply committed to working with you all to achieve this vital objective. For too long, the legacy of slavery, colonialism, and neocolonialism has cast a long shadow on the lives and progress of Africans and people of African descent. These historical injustices have left deep scars. Reparations are not merely about financial compensation, they are about acknowledging the profound and enduring damage inflicted upon our people. They are about confronting the uncomfortable truths of our past and taking concrete steps to rectify these wrongs. We seek justice, justice that encompasses a comprehensive range of measures, including official and unequivocal apologies from the nations and institutions responsible for perpetrating these historical injustices, addressing the crippling debt burden that continues to stifle economic growth in many African nations, a direct consequence of exploitation and unfair trade practices, providing resources and expertise to empower African nations to achieve sustainable development and participate fully in the global economy, returning stolen artifacts and cultural treasures that rightfully belong to our heritage, investing in the educational initiatives to promote a deeper understanding of African history, culture, and contributions to the world. This is not a simple task. It requires courage, determination, and a unified front. It requires us to engage in meaningful dialogue with those responsible and to advocate tirelessly for our rights. I call upon my colleague African leaders, civil society organizations and youth groups, and members of the diaspora to join hands in this important endeavor. Let us work together to build a future where justice prevails, where the wounds of the past are healed, and where the potential of every African and person of African descent is fully realized. Let Africa Day 2025 be a turning point. Let us reaffirm our commitment to building a continent of prosperity, opportunity, and equality for all our people. Let the pursuit of reparations be a testament to our resilience, our determination, and our unwavering belief in a brighter future. Happy Africa Day. Let us move together united in purpose towards a just and equitable future for all Africans and people of African descent.
Now, the ranking member on Parliament's Environment, Science and Technology Committee, Ahmed Hamza, is calling for stronger private-public investment in nuclear research and energy innovation. He made the call during a committee visit to the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, stressing the need for a national strategy to harness nuclear technology for Ghana's energy and developmental goals. There's more in this report.
It's a critical setback as the nation grapples with a significant loss. Speaking during a visit to the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission here in Accra, the ranking member on Parliament's Select Committee on Environment, Science and Technology, Ahmed Hamza, is calling for stronger government backing for nuclear research and innovation. Mr. Hamza said the country risks falling behind if urgent investment aren't made to support local scientific capacity and energy alternatives.
Instead of thinking about investment in the science and technology, we want the area to pay for itself just like any other area. Meanwhile, globally, world over, it takes the commitment of the government to get the science and technology area well developed. And so these are the issues that we intend as a committee to try and push. We are hoping that together we can identify areas and aggressively tackle them.
From 95 in 2022 to 78 in 2023, Director General of the Commission attributes the exodus to low pay and poor working conditions, which he says continue to drive top talent abroad.
People are resigning, so people are leaving the Commission and not even as guided as the nuclear industry. And some are even going to the universities and then traveling outside the country for maybe better remuneration and all that. And this is affecting our activities, especially since Ghana wants to go nuclear. So it means that we need these highly skilled people around for the nuclear agenda. And if you are losing them, that is not going to help us much. So it means that something has to be done pretty fast about it so that we can retain these people or these staff in the Commission. We always say that the best way to attract people is to retain what you have. So what the people that you've trained over the years with the skills that they have acquired over the years, if they are leaving your Commission, then it's worrying, and we have to do something about this.
The committee's visit forms part of its oversight responsibilities of assessing ongoing research projects at the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission and engaging with scientists on the challenges they face. For Joy News, Stephen Mensah's report, right to you.
Now, the Northern Regional Police Commander, ACP Wisdom Lawe, has revealed that Tamale is increasingly becoming a major transit point for arms and illicit drugs, attributing the proliferation of arms in the region to the conflict in Boku. He said despite these security challenges, the police was working effectively in addressing the security challenges. ACP Wisdom Lawe disclosed this during a meeting when the Interior Minister Mohammed Muntaka paid a working visit to the northern region.
The Prime Minister spent nearly a week in the northern region engaging with various stakeholders, including chief security agencies and religious groups. During his visit, the minister also commissioned several government projects in the area. At a meeting with the police in Tamale, the Northern Regional Police Commander, ACP Wisdom Lawe, also expressed concern over the lack of trust between the people and the police, which he said is heightening the accumulation of weapons in the area.
The Boku conflict has now assumed a national dimension, and Northern region is not an exception, considering its strategic location and link to the 5 northern regions. Tamale is turning into a main transit point for arms and illicit drugs, and a haven for intentionally displaced persons from Boku. However, with a swift response and professionalism of my men, these aforementioned security challenges and threats are being dealt with. Public perception about police in the northern region. Citizens do not see police to be closer to them enough and feel their security cannot be guaranteed by the police. This mistrust is leading to weaponization of the citizens across every household who feels the need to defend themselves.
The Interior Minister, Mutaka Mohammed Mubarak, responding to the police commander's concerns, assured that the ministry will do everything possible to ensure the security and safety of communities in the region.
Some of the security challenges that the regional commander have mentioned, we can assure you that we will do whatever it takes to make sure that you remain safe, to be able to keep the communities also safe. And there was this issue about Zabzugu, when it requires some kind of specialized team, just to make it a little easier for you, we brought some personnel from Accra just to hold up so that it doesn't overstretch you.
The minister revealed that plans are underway to launch the 24-hour economy, which is likely to increase the workload of the police. To address this challenge, the ministry plans to recruit 12,000 youth trained as community police.
Start our 24-hour economy, and that may bring additional toll on you. It is because of that that we have partnered the Youth Employment Authority to train young men and women, to bring us 12,000 men and women that will be trained by the police administration to augment the work that you are doing to support you so that at least we are able to support the 24-hour economy.
Earlier, the minister met with religious leaders in the northern region, urging them to unite in protecting the country's peace.
Not only the Christian groups, but even the Muslim groups, how to try to put their differences and see that even in our diversity, we can still work together for the same.
I don't think you are in competition with each other. That's why you have understood that, and that's why you're able to come together.
Now, the Executive Director of the Center for Indigenous Knowledge and Organizational Development, Ben Guri, has underscored the important role played by the country's universities. He emphasized that in order to formulate well-crafted policies that can drive national development and improve the lives of citizens, universities had to be involved as they served as the country's knowledge hubs. Mr. Guri noted that SICORD, as the group is called, had been collaborating with several universities to incorporate indigenous knowledge systems into their academic programs, an initiative he described as largely successful. He made these remarks during a meeting with the Vice Chancellor of the SD Dombo University of Business and Integrated Development Studies in Weija. There's more in this report.
The meeting between the Executive Director of non-profit organization Center for Indigenous Knowledge and Organizational Development, SICORD, Ben Guri, and the Vice Chancellor of the Simon Diedon Dombo University of Business and Integrated Development Studies, Professor Emmanuel Kanchibe Derebele, was in twofold. First is to congratulate Professor Emmanuel Kanchibe Derebele, who in the past worked as a pioneer volunteer regional coordinator for SICORD, but has now been elevated to the position of the Vice Chancellor after having served earlier as the Pro-Vice Chancellor of the university. Next was to take My Food is African campaign to the university, which aims at boosting consumption of local foods. The initiative is part of transforming the African food systems to sustainability TAPS project, which strives to revive the practice of eating indigenous foods. The project was successful launch last year in the one municipality, with 6 basic schools competed for the Best Ambassador Food Campaigner of the Year. The Deputy Executive Director of SICORD, Daniel Bonoko, noted that the success of the project was largely attributed to the role played by students from universities working as interns at SICORD, who they made plans to further roll out in the country's universities.
And some of the things that we're already thinking about, for example, having a school garden where they can demonstrate agroecology, create a farmer's market from organic produce from their own sweat, and just to get people to get to love to till the soils. Because today you realize that a lot of people, a lot of youth are getting disconnected from agriculture and our food system. in favor of some foreign lifestyles and things like that. So I think being here is to introduce the team and also let you know about the plan to launch this program. The first of it would be within this university. The idea is to scale into Hila Liman University, KNUST, UNER, UCC, and have a mass movement of youth for agroecology.
Executive Director of SECORD, Ben Guri, threw further light on the project.
We recognize that universities are the important point. If you this country, you want to move forward, you don't engage the universities, you cannot move forward in terms of policies. So we've been working with the other universities, that's what Dan just mentioned now. We in fact have a Ghana University climate change network comprising Cape Coast University, University of Science and Technology in Kumasi, but also some European universities, Finland and Denmark. So we've come together, we've been working together to see how we can engage universities. We want to see our indigenous knowledge going into the university courses.
Vice Chancellor of SDD Yobets, Professor Emmanuel Kanchiba Derebele, commended SECORD for the initiative and the progress made over the years, which has bettered the lives of the people.
It is important to commend SECORD for sustaining this window of providing opportunities for student internship programs. We are very grateful that you continue to provide this support. But also to commend our students for the orientation, not just on discourse on sustainable and endogenous development approaches, but action. You know, thinking about creating a movement, establishing a movement within the university system and a network with other universities to promote agroecology, you know, in agriculture development is something that I think gladdens, you know, my heart.
Reporting for the news, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
And well, from Wa, we come right back to Kukumlimle in our studios where we'll be serving you sports in just a bit. Do stay.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to AM Sports here with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah. It is a week where we build up to the UEFA Champions League final, which will be happening on Saturday. Well, it is PSG versus Inter Milan. And as part of our build up to the Rep Your Jersey final at the Aviation Social Center on Saturday, May 31, you'll be seeing us wearing loads of jerseys. A jersey that gives you joy, the club you support. So here, with my favorite club, you never knew I'm a Bayern Munich fan. Today, you know. Now, let's start with some stories from home, where President of the Ghana Football Association, Ket Okriku, he has said that the investment of the football governing body into juvenile football will be core to the development of football across the country. According to him, the junior national team will feed the Black Stars, and with the right investment at a lower level, the senior national team will get back to its glory days.
Because for most Ghanaians, it's a result at the apex of the production line, which is most important. And therefore, you would also see that even though we have invested heavily in youth development, even though we've paid a lot of attention to youth football, youth development, we're also not losing sight of the fact that our Black Wings have to deliver. Our Black Stars have to deliver, for which reason we continue to pay attention to the two A national teams. And the Black Wings have been on the ascendancy. I think that they are in the right way. We are back to the AFCON, which we didn't make it the last time. and we're looking forward to they performing very well at the AFCON. The Black Stars have had a not too stable performance, but I think that our clarion call to the entire sporting public to be supportive of the Black Stars have yielded good results. Now the confidence of the boys seem to be back, and with the level of the investment we're making in youth football development, with the level of investment we're making in talent development, I think that the production of intangible assets to the Black Stars would continue, and that will make the team much stronger in the coming years. And in immediate terms, I think that we are now in a situation where our team is a lot more stable. And once the team is stable, we should have stable performances coming through.
Now, let's take a look at the results of matches that were played in the Ghana Premier League over the weekend. And on your screen, it was Kumasi Asante Kotoko versus Bibiani Gold Stars. That game ended 0-0. There were lots of drama surrounding that game. And Dreams FC won 1-0 against Beacon Chelsea. Bechem United, they drew 0-0 against Basake Holy Stars. Ediana Stars dumped Legon Cities, already relegated from the top flight, by 4-0. Nations FC, by virtue of this victory, they have now opened a 4-point gap between themselves and Kumasi Asante Kotoko. So they sit at the summit of the Premier League table with 2 matches more to go. They won 3-0 against Samatex, who are the defending champions of the Ghana Premier League. Young Apostles also won 3-1 against Heart of Lions, and Vision FC won 1-0 against Karela United. So these are the results of matches that were played in the Ghana Premier League. 2 matches more to end the competition. The Under-17 FIFA World Cup Draw 2 took place yesterday. Let's take a look at the draw ahead of the competition itself. And these are the groups of the FIFA Under-17 World Cup. Group A, we've got Qatar, Italy, South Africa, and Bolivia. In Group B, we've got Japan, Morocco, New Caledonia, yes, and Portugal. Group C, we've got Senegal, Croatia, Costa Rica, United Arab Emirates. And Group D, we've got Argentina, Belgium, Tunisia, and Fiji. Group E, England, Venezuela, Haiti, Egypt. Group F, Mexico, Korea, Cote d'Ivoire, Switzerland. Group G, Germany, Colombia, Korea, El Salvador. And Group H is Brazil, Honduras, Indonesia, and Zambia. Group I, USA, Burkina Faso, Tajikistan, and Czech Republic. Group I is Paraguay, Uzbekistan, Panama, Republic of Ireland. Group K is France, Chile, Canada, Uganda. Group L, Mali, New Zealand, Austria, and Saudi Arabia. Unfortunately, Ghana could not qualify for the competition. Hence, Ghana is not part of the newly expanded FIFA Under-17 World Cup. That is going to be happening later this year. From football, let's do American football, which is the NFL. And Isaiah Stambach, he is a former star of the NFL. He was in Ghana a few days ago to explore the possibility of setting up an academy to help unearth talents in the area of NFL. And he spoke to Joy Sports, where he said that his visit to Ghana has been quite positive.
The visit has been absolutely awesome. My wife and I did my genealogy and saw that, you know, my origins were here in Ghana. I wanted to take a trip. I have a friend, Linda, who's from here, and she invited me to come down. I've met with a number of leaders in the government, leaders in the community. I wanted to bring the idea of a potential sports academy that not only embraces the genuine passion and love for the game of soccer that everybody in Ghana is familiar with, but also to help people understand that those same characteristics, those same skills translate into other sports. Okay. You know, obviously track and soccer, you know, people in Ghana are familiar with, but, you know, for instance, American flag football is coming up into the Olympics. So that's an opportunity to be able to harness some of the gifts and talents that the youth of Ghana already have. Continue to develop those with the Sports Academy, mentorship, athleticism, all those things, and help them understand that those same skill sets can give them avenues into other sports.
Then tell me, what brought you to Ghana?
Yeah, coming to Ghana, I wanted to come listen and learn. I wanted to find out exactly what the need was here for such a thing as a sports academy that kind of isn't as specific as just soccer, something that can be opened up to athletes that could potentially carry over to other sports. So I wanted to come listen, learn, experience. I did not want to come with my own ideas and push them out. I wanted to hear from the community leaders. I wanted to hear from the government. I wanted to hear what the heartbeat of the country was to figure out exactly how my expertise and others that I know can best serve the community.
And what have you learned so far? And your ultimate goal of coming to the Ghana, do you think that you're on the right track?
I believe so. This has been a very informative trip to be able to come and experience it, to be able to go into the communities, to be able to hear from the people, hear from the tribes, hear from the community, the government, all those things, and see exactly what the necessity is. See where the barriers to entry for the youth are. Seeing the kids driving past the schools, and understanding that there are millions of kids and millions of people in the community that just need to have some mentorship, that just need to have some guidance that can give them the opportunity in the next foot up to be able to explore and actually have accessibility to some of these options that they may not know are accessible to them now.
Well, thank you for staying with us on the AM Show. It's time now for the news review. Don't you forget the AM Show is proudly sponsored by Weija Properties. And my question to you this morning, are you thinking of a rewarding investment you can engage in? Well, Weija Company Limited is your preferred choice for such an investment. Weija Company Limited is a real estate company with several developments to its credit right here in Accra. And we're inviting you this morning to invest in our new development, Willow Lane, where elegance meets tranquility in the heart of Accra. We provide quality housing at an affordable cost and also with a flexible payment option. Now at Weija Properties, we provide you with 24-hour security, reliable power supply, and other social amenities to make your stay memorable. All you have to do now is give us a call on these numbers, 0240 111 119 or 0504 499 999. Our website, www.weija.org. Well, joining the conversation for starters, we have Dr. Ezekiel Ajakum Obeng. He is with the MPP Communications Directorate. He joins the conversation. We also have from the communications team of the NDC, Wanda Madilo. Gentlemen, good morning. It's good to have you join the conversation.
Yeah, good to see you.
Well, let's get right into it. A lot has happened over these last few days, the last week and all, but I don't know what you'd be reflecting on this morning. So I would leave it to you to share brief thoughts in no more than a minute and a half, and then we'll get into the papers. I'll start with you.
Good morning once again, and good morning to the good people of Ghana who have joined us this morning. It's clearly the issue of the incessant power.
Can you speak up a bit more?
Power issues that we have. It's quite difficult to predict what happens next in the next few minutes or hours. You don't know how to manage your day as far as electricity or power is concerned. Over the weekend, it was terrible as usual. Last week, we thought...
Of which part of town do you speak?
I'm around the Pokwase bulk supply enclave. And power issues is not the best. And it's really affecting homes, affecting small businesses, and it's affecting social life. People are really going through it, as we say. We hope there could be an end to the incessant doom so we are experiencing and its effects on social, individual, and economic life as well. That's quite the border today. Sleeping through the night and not having electricity with the heat it comes with, it's really a stressor. And waking up, going to work with such stress increases or makes your day even bad before you start. And its health effects is uncountable, should I say. A lot of issues of hypertension in these days is as a result of stress that we are going through as a people. And if you have a country where our electricity supply is even increasing and affecting our health through stress, and it's consequences thereof, then it's something we need to look at.
All right, thank you very much for those thoughts. So, what is your call? Are you calling for a timetable or something?
It's in order.
Since you say it is doomsday, so what are you calling for?
It's doomsday, and we are fortunate to have the NDC in power in the sense that they were the apostles and the key advocates of timetable somewhere last year when we had issues with power challenges.
A timetable we never got, by the way.
And if indeed you were apostles,
a timetable we never got.
If indeed you were apostles,
before you go on, did we get the timetable?
I'll end with that, please.
Okay.
If you were apostles of such advocacy and you've gotten the opportunity, the least you can do is to show respect to the Ghanaian.
Okay.
Tell them that this is what we believed in when we were in opposition. Now we are in power. The situation is worse, and at least the little we can do for you is to respect you and give you the timetable so that you can plan your day-to-day activities.
Okay. You still didn't tell me about the timetable. So the least we can do.
It's all part of reasons why.
I intentionally threw in the timetable.
It's all part of reasons why Ghanaians brought the NDC in thinking that if they are faced with such challenges, as the NDC promised and advocated for, they will at least respect the Ghanaian. They campaigned and incited their sensitivities to kick out the MPP. So at least give us the timetable. It's the least they can do for the Ghanaian.
All right. So like we usually do when these matters come up, I'm going to throw it out to you. I've always said that in my case, it's pretty much different, but all communities are different. You say you live around where?
Pokwase Enclave.
Pokwase Enclave. If you are in the Pokwase Enclave, let us know what your power situation is like. Everywhere, from the Ashanti region to the northern region to the Western North region. What is your power situation like? Does it go off often? Is it doomsday? You let us know. You can just shoot us a message via the live feed this morning. I'm curious. I'd like to know. Let me quickly acknowledge James Kwabena Bomfe Jr. He is CEO of Census and a lecturer at the University of Ghana, the University of Professional Studies, Accra. I nearly switched to your institution there. Thank you for joining the conversation.
Thank you for having me.
All right. I'll come to you in a bit. Wanda, your quick thoughts.
Well, I'm particularly happy for the strides being made despite the challenges we faced with our energy crisis. We do admit that somewhere closer to the elections in 2024, power outages was a major concern to the extent that we've had ministers who said that we should publish our own calendar or roster or whatever if we indeed want one. And the level of debt that has been left in the energy sector alone is crippling. And many people, including the MPP themselves, have acknowledged that if we are to pay off those debts, we won't see the kind of stability we're seeing in the CDA and the other foreign currencies. So indeed, a lot has been done. ECG have gone overboard in many of their transactions to the extent that they budget for $1 billion expenditure, and when the eventual expenditure came, is going to $8 billion and all that. They have stock in their control that will last for the next 10 years. I mean, for instance, 1.5 cable in the stock of ECG is going to last for the next 5 years. And yet, the most sensitive issues of transformers and all that have not been taken care of. We've had containers getting missing and all that. And I'm told that this week the minister would have a word on these containers. Many of them have been found and retrieved, and he would have a full briefing on some of these issues. So indeed, we know that there's a crisis in the energy sector. The business of power is not only the issue of ECG.
Are you owning the crisis? You're in power now. Are you owning the crisis?
The crisis we inherited a crisis which we own up to, and we agree that it is. That's why the president has launched the new gas plant project, the Ghana Gas Phase 2 project. And so we're excited about that. We will have cheaper sources of energy. I know that a couple of them were due for maintenance. The IPP, some of them were due for maintenance, which were rescheduled to this year and all that. So there are indeed crises. We admit there are crises. But then again, the NDC fixed it in 2016. We are bound to fix it again in this period that we are in. It's a difficulty, but it will be resolved. But again, we are all aware of the disaster that came, prior to the weekend over the flooding and all that. That has also tripped off a lot of transformers because we are told that many of the underground cables of ECG are bad now. And so when you have power crisis of this nature, Some are linked to the natural disasters that we have, such as the flooding and all the others. Of course, if there's flooding in say, Circle, the most prudent thing to do to save life is to turn off the power, because some of the cables are underground. Electric shock, electric transmissions and all that can cause havoc. And so we are indeed very grateful to the MPP, to Ghanaians, for pointing out the challenges that we have. And then going forward, I'm sure we...
Just a final bit to you on this power situation. It matters not whose ox is God, which government is in power. After 60 plus years, 68 and counting, it's shambolic that whenever there's a heavy thunderstorm, in fact, it is when it rains that you need power the most. You know that.
Yeah, no,
because it becomes even more dangerous. Sometimes when you step out and there are cables, you could...
I get it.
And we still have the situation where when it rains to a certain extent, after a few hours or whatever, our power has to go off. It's something that we really need to remedy. I'm not putting all the blame on this administration. It's been with us since, what, independence. But it's something that must change.
Yeah, sure. But on the point, during thunderstorms, sometimes the systems are built such that they sense when the thunder is about to strike. It goes off on its own sometimes. I mean, these are genuine issues. It's to protect the power system. Just like you have in your house, you had an earthen wire in your house all the way to the rooftop. And all. They are able to sense and pick up signals that, there's going to be a thunder, and that thunder can cause, power challenges. So it trip off. But those trip offs are normally just for a few minutes, and then it comes back on stream. So, like I said, our underground cables are bad. The country is expanding very rapidly. Industrial growth is also one of the reasons why our power doesn't seem to meet, the production, generation demand and all that. So a gamut of issues to be settled, and I'm sure we have a 4-year mandate. We are seeing signs of some of those corrections, and so we should make progress.
All right. The interesting bit is that I've been to countries where there are severe thunderstorms and the power stays on. So it could be different strokes for different folks. But, Doc, coming to you, Dr. Bonfe. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure having you join the conversation. Usually on this set, we'll give about a minute to reflect on something that is topical. What would you reflect on with us this morning?
Today is May 26, a day after May 25, and that is AU Day. For me, as an Nkrumahist and a Pan-Africanist, it's important that we, as citizens of this republic, that lays the trail for continental governance and continental unity that will take away the artificial boundaries that were created by colonialism and imperialism to reflect on what our forebears envisioned, what Africa we should have. Not, wallow into a past that appeared to be a paradise, but to acknowledge that our heritage has a lot for us, and we need to take advantage of science and technology today, invoking the sacrificial spirit of our ancestors to imbue in us the spirit of restraint, discipline, integrity, and service towards humanity. It's one of the things that we as a people need to embrace. And if we are embracing service to humanity, I want to believe that many, if not all, of our problems would be a thing of the past. This recurrent discussion or conversation about power, energy, recurrent conversation about flooding in Accra, recurrent discussion about systemic failures to address challenges that have lived with us for a very long time. At the same time, year on year, we hear of huge sums devoted or spent in the process of attempting to solve these problems. How and why? So it's a time for us to pause and reflect on the question. The black man is capable of managing his or her own affairs. Was it a truism? Was it a myth? Was it a reality? Did we work towards it? Are we working towards that? And are we living that dream? Or we're just throwing our hands in despair and wallow in complaints and quarrels, sometimes needless, as it were.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for reflecting on these matters. It appears we ended up talking about our power situation, which is crucial to all of us. Without power, I mean, the lights probably would be off here and we'd have to be on generators and all of that at extra cost. So it's definitely a discussion we must have. Let's start with, I started with you for the thoughts, so let me start with you for the newspapers. Let's get into the Ghanaian Times newspaper.
Well, let's seek justice for our continent. President Mahama rallies colleagues. I'm sure he was speaking at the AU.
Speaking about reparations.
Yeah, and so there is an African call. It falls directly within my senior brother, Governor Bonface's submissions. And so that's it. Africa will need...
Can we do all the headlines before you select your story?
Then I'm grateful. VIP thanks Ghanaians for their prayers. The Vice President is in town, and that's good news to all of us. Pressure mounts on Foreign Minister to resign after unfulfilled private jet pledge. Unnecessary, in my opinion. More tension looms in Shire Hills.
Are you done with the Ghanaian Times? So we do one paper, you do the headlines, then you get into your chosen stories.
That's okay. So
before we move to the next.
Reduction in fares, toll drivers not in full compliance. Support for Ghana Traditional Council Task Force to enforce ban on noise making. And then that's all. That's so far what is on.
Okay, so now you can go into your stories in the Ghanaian Times newspaper.
Well, toll drivers not in full compliance. You know that we have a more private system when it comes to transportation in this country. Apart from our STC, our even VIP, we don't have control over there, and a few others like the Ayalolo, which collapsed a while ago. Government is unable to fix fares directly that affects Ghanaians, and so when the private interests in business come to play, even in the face of driving down prices in petroleum and spare parts and the import charges and all that, you still will not see the immediate reflections until some time. And so I know that some total drivers are not willing to reduce. GPRTU has, issued some directive that they do the needful. But I'm sure with a lot of engagement and all that, some of these things will suffice. And so we would be on the lookout, because you know that transport fares is one of the major drivers of inflation in this country. I mean, all the foodstuff we produce beyond Accra, being transported to Accra, even transporting, our wares from the port to whichever place, we rely solely on the transport sector. And so it has a lot of impact on inflation and all that. However, good news is that inflation is expected to drop to some 11.9% by close of year, from an all-time high sometime in 54 regions, all the way to 23, and now we can be excited that it's coming down to 11.9%. Thank you.
Okay, that's the sole story.
Yeah, that's the only story I'm doing.
All right. Any reflections, gentlemen? Starting with you, Dr. Bonfe.
What can I say?
He spoke about the VIP. He spoke about the other.
Okay, so we are happy that our mother, Her Excellency, the Vice President, is back home safely. I watched the footage of her arrival. I think our prayers were with her while she was away. And as she said, on the invitation on the President that she has come to meet work ongoing, she's warmed herself up and would add on to what has been done. It's my prayer that they will combine their utility and agency to, draw all others. Nation building is about rallying the best brains in a country at any point in time to work towards solving problems. At the end of the day, no one group alone can do it. And consistently, that seems to be what we have been avoiding and thereby degenerating in our governance system. But if we would all embrace the reality that it takes two or more than one group of persons or people to work together to arrive at some better solutions, we would make this country better than we find ourselves in. I think largely what we need to accept is that self-assessment is not complete until you have an external assessor looking at how you are doing things. And in our local parlance, we say that the ultrasano normally it will take somebody watching from behind to draw your attention to some major flaws that may not be obvious to you. And so we need to accept that it will take tolerance, it will take sincerity, it will take consensus building, and at the end of the day, the maturity to embrace criticism, no matter how harsh it may be, and be humble to admit that we are not infallible. When we fall, we will rise, and together we'll make Ghana great. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much for those reflections. We brought you some footage from that a few days ago. Tahiro Carlos says, Northern, we have lights 24/7. When you say Northern, I'm not sure whether you mean Northern region or other parts of the Northern Belt. Of course, we are talking NETCO in that sector. But even if you're saying the Northern region, I don't know whether you're speaking for the entirety of the Northern region. But I'd like to find out, what is your electricity situation where you are? Shoot us a message and let's get into it. Yes, Doc.
We welcome our Vice President. Clearly, ill health and sickness is not one that needs to be politicized. Unfortunately, during the time of the MPP, our Vice President then, Dr. Bawumia, had issues and had to go to the UK for medical care. We heard the brouhaha. We saw and heard the political capital people mounted out of it. And even before that, in 2016, we had officials of the NDC arrogating onto themselves the medical certificate to go on TV to pronounce certain diagnoses on people, to the extent that then candidate Ekufuado was said to have prostate cancer and all that. Politicized everything, including our health. Then unfortunately, you get the opportunity to come back to power and something happens to our Vice President. I mean, we heard what the social media activists, had to say on it. But of course, from our perspective, and for someone like me in the profession, it's one thing we never have to politicize. I mean, it can happen to anyone at any time. So when it comes to issues of health, we need to depoliticize issues of health. So we are grateful the Vice President is back, and what has become part of the discussions of her return is the fact that she came in a private jet. People have quoted huge sums of money to the tune of around $200,000 per hour, $180,000 per hour to transport our Vice President back into the country. And then a video also surfaced of our Foreign Minister, who then in opposition berated the MPP administration, berated His Excellency the President, Nana Ekufuado. And even there was a huge propaganda that was made out of it, that the President then refused to shower or bath in his home before traveling. He rather preferred bathing in private jets for the water to spread or spray onto Ghanaians, on Namuwim and Awodware in planes. And it became a huge political issue to the extent that the then ranking member for Foreign Affairs Committee in Parliament, now Foreign Affairs Minister, is on record to say that if it happens in the NDC that any government official travels with a private jet, he would resign on principle. It's the reason why a lot of people are calling for his resignation. I mean, you said it clearly. You were not pushed, you were not coerced from your own evolution. You said it. That indeed, if it happens in the administration, you are going to resign. It's the reason why we are here today. Ghanaian youth on social media, everywhere, activists, commentaries, everywhere. People are calling for him to do the needful based on principle. But of course, if we were able to depoliticize those things, rather find solutions as to why government officials, president, vice president were using certain means of transportation instead of what we are known or we know for them to use, probably would have had a non-partisan practical discussion about it to know the best way forward for the country. But we made political out of it. political capital for people's health, political capital out of president and vice president travels, and today the reality is dawned on you and you need to take a decisive action. Ending with the front page my brother read, let's seek justice for our continent. President Mahama yesterday on the AU Day. Africa is first of all its people before our borders. Without the people of Africa, there is no Africa. We are in a country where people rose, had issues.
Technically, if you're looking at the nation state and what makes a nation a nation, it's not just the territory. It's not just the people. The people are there, the territory is there. I said the people and its territory. There must be all of these in place.
Of course, it's a whole cocktail. I just mentioned a few. And if we are indeed seeking justice for Africa and its people, where is the justice within our own country? We had people who believed the Chief Justice had done something wrong and went ahead to petition the president to at least look into those issues. They were given a hero's applause. And the president set up committee, whatever prima facie case, the lawyers would give more legal background to it and went ahead to suspend our Chief Justice. And then we had another person, same Ghanaian, who stood up and petitioned the president that the people you seek to lead the investigations or to lead the inquiry, they've been found in a certain, in quote, compromised position. So therefore, I'm bringing the footage to you, and I'm bringing the same petition or similar petition others brought to you, yet someone is treated differently. Where is the justice in this? What was the crime of Kumi in just presenting the petition to the president? It was a matter of just taking the petition, looking into it, looking at the merit or demerit of the matter, and decide. Yet we had state security apparatus descending heavily on an innocent Ghanaian simply because he had petitioned the president. In the same case, those who previously petitioned are said to have done a yeoman's job. Someone stood up, a young man stood up and petitioned the president on matters arising on the same issue, and state security, state apparatus descended heavily on him and his family, to the extent that the wife is reported to have miscarried. The innocent fetus paid the ultimate price. Where is the justice we are talking about? Where is the liberation we are talking about on AU Day? That unborn fetus had so much potential to come and work to help Africa and to help Ghana. But because of the selective justice we had over the weekend, a fetus has paid the ultimate price. So we need to go beyond the rhetoric and rather leave the talks and the words we churn out or we say in public or during such occasions, the message we put out. Indeed, if we are calling for justice, then justice was not done to Kumi and his unborn fetus.
All right. I have a few quick reactions. I intentionally let everyone speak, and then I'll come through with thoughts because the facts must always be straight. You made mention of the fact that the other side, the NDC, likes to politicize health matters. Do you remember former President John Evans Atta Mills? Do you remember him?
Very well.
Do you remember our former Vice President Pakwesi Ebisa?
Very well.
Do you remember the medical propaganda that was played to the extent that some people would even see the former president talk about how black his palms were and that he should do this and that to prove that he's, healthy and all of that? Do you remember that? Recently, when the vice president faced health issues, there were those who came here and sat here from your party stock who even probed, and you, I'm sure, know better than we do, the sanctity of medical records, right?
Yeah.
Not even King Charles with his prostate issues and all of that. The royalty came out just to stem the tide of people going out, on a foray with news. But some specifics we still do not know because people are entitled to their medical. So I think when you're making such points, you should make it reflecting both sides. You sounded as though it were just one side that did it. If all of you politicians learned to respect health-related matters and didn't wade into politicizing it, I think it would help all of us. Now, you also talk about what some people have put on social media in respect of the flight of the vice president. You mentioned a few things. Do you know for a fact how much the flight cost? Do you know?
Can I come in to respond to everything you said?
I'm asking, do you know specifically?
If you would finish, so I respond to everything.
Okay. As far as I recall, when Ablakwa made some of his statements, and I'm not holding brief for him, some of those, I remember our team conducted, research into indeed similar flights and what they would cost, and they could be corroborated. Do you have the details on this? I'm not saying it is right or wrong. I'm just trying to find out whether you do. Then on Adenta Kumi, I don't know whether you saw the footage on the back of which the petition was put forth. I've listened to the legal luminaries over the weekend, among others, talk about it. I'm sure you know that there's a law addressing misinformation, primarily in the Criminal Offences Act 1960, Act 29. That is Section 208. So when we have these conversations, we must put them in context, not just generalize them. I sat here and mentioned that it was unnecessary, or was going to be what was done at his house. But at the same time, we also cannot purport to do certain actions on the face of it and think it's always right, especially on the back of what we've seen. Quick reactions. And then.
On the issue of the medical politicization of people's health, we are singing the same song. I'm saying that we need to depoliticize people's health and health records. From where I sit, if I should meet you today, and after meeting in my consulting room, sorry to say, your child or your wife even comes to me and asks me, Doc, what's wrong with my husband? Under no obligation should I divulge your medical records to your wife. So we hold in high the ethics of confidentiality in our profession. So at least I brought out a few, and you've also listed a couple of other issues that have happened in the past. So indeed, we are all together saying that let us depoliticize health issues.
Okay. So if you had gone that way, I wouldn't have
it
had
can happen to everyone.
Come back to you.
So the fact that I didn't mention Prof. Mills, I didn't mention the past vice president doesn't mean I'm trying to skew the argument. In the end, I made a holistic call.
You can quickly add your reactions
to depoliticize the issue.
Adenta Kumi,
on
who
the
is a
issue
personal friend
of
by
Adenta Kumi.
And please, do you know for a fact that his wife has miscarried? Do you know that for a fact?
I said reported. That's what we heard in the report.
So you don't know that for a fact?
It's been covered by certain media houses, reportedly.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And I'm saying that my argument stems from the fact that based on what was he arrested in the manner he was arrested, you've alluded to the fact that his arrest and what happened was uncalled for. And it's the same thing I'm saying. If we are going to go into the legal argument, merit and demerit of the footage he has put out, that's not what I'm discussing. Because yes, I can't prove whether or not those videos are right. But the fact that
I think
they descended on him in that manner
I have a message
is what we are calling
from
out.
Reverend Latte, who says, good morning. Please ask the MPP guest what constitutional article JDM broke in the suspension of the CJ. I think, Rev, we've belabored this point. We've flogged it so many times. So I don't think it's something that we'll go back to. It's been answered and rebutted. Wonder.
Yeah, so I don't know, but the MPP seem to always be in a slumber in recent times. You know, the call by the MPP for the resignation of the Foreign Minister Akujeto is reckless, not only reckless, it's shameful. It's shameful because when
you were speaking, no one interjected. Wonder, go ahead.
The call by the MPP for the resignation of the Foreign Minister is reckless and shameful. Why shameful? Why reckless? Number one, when Okujeto made his commentary in the past, it was because we had a president in this country who was traveling on private jets with Sewa Broni and co allegedly, and that had nothing to do. That had nothing. I'm coming. No, that had nothing.
When these
he's talking about reported, and I'm telling you reported.
Yes, but I just chastised them on something. If you don't know something for
but Sewa Broni herself has spoken to the issue. She spoke to the issue
of the former president traveling with Sewa Broni.
Well, but Sewa Broni spoke to the issue.
Do you have evidence of the former president?
I am not the one to produce evidence to you on this platform now because
so please
we're talking about a reported issue.
The facts you know.
And I'm saying that is what Okujeto said. What facts are you talking about then? I'm saying that Okujeto spoke to the issue of the president's reckless travels. He spoke to the issue of course, he spoke to the issue of rental of private jets and all that. In private travels, in official travels. Here's a case where we have a vice president who is taken ill. She was out of the country. In fact, even if you decided to use a presidential jet to bring her back, you would have to fly there, bring her back with the same aircraft, which may even cost the state more. Wow. So sometimes the logic is not doesn't even wash. This is a woman who is sick. She's not traveling on her personal rounds. She's not going for anything, personal to herself. She went on a medical trip and she's coming back to Ghana. You don't even know what the recommendations of the doctors are or the medical team was. And then you come here, he has to resign, he has to do this, and you don't even have facts and figures to what you are pointing out. And I feel that is reckless and it's shameful. Finally, on the issue of identity.
I understand the point you're making, and that's why I queried him on that same point. However, this private jet setup and everything, I mean, is it possible that she's of a high office, vice president, president, we know the largesse, what we afford them at that level. But is it possible we could have used alternatives that may have been cheaper? On the back of where we stand economically.
If we were privy to what the doctor said, you and I are not privy to what the medical, recommendations
so you think the doctors suggested that
she's been out of town
it was a private jet that
almost,
would be
I don't know,
the only possible way of bringing her back.
That is why, you see, you asked me earlier whether I'm privy to the facts. You're also asking questions that makes us, both of us, not privy to the facts. And this is a woman who's been sick. She's over 70 years old, and she's returning to Ghana. I am saying that we are not privy to what the medical, recommendations will be. Whether you should go and sit in an economy or sit in the business class, or you should be in a relaxed manner in coming back to this country. And she's been out of office for almost 2 months, in a medical condition. How reckless can we be as a country? How mean can we be as a country, thinking that because you are returning and you were sick and you were out of the country, you should come in an economy and all that, economic class and all that. For me, I think that is reckless and it's shameful. Finally, on Adenta Kumi, I want to stay on this show. That we have heard stories about Adenta Kumi's wife losing her fetus and all that. We sincerely share in her pain and whatever, if that is true. Are you a medical doctor? Are you one?
Go ahead and make your statement.
Now, for us to have you on the show and not able to tell us indeed whether this is true or false, and it's just a report from some few elements, especially the MPP element, to say that she lost her pregnancy, she was 4 months pregnant, we indeed share in that pain if it is true. But however, if it is not true, that's mean. That's mean to the family. That's mean to the conscience of God. That's mean to our laws. That is also mean to telling us the truth. Why would we go to this level? For a national issue like this to get to that level where somebody says fetus was lost because people came to her home, I think it's unfortunate.
Thank you.
Indeed, if she was,
Wanda, thank you.
I'm coming. Indeed, if she had that problem, I'm sure that we're willing to resolve the issues. Please.
All right. We all do know that certain traumas can cause miscarriages. We don't know for a fact as we sit here. If it turns out that that indeed did happen, then it will go back to the point I made last week, which I'm making again, that sometimes we can address these issues through alternative, avenues. Because while I do not know for a fact whether he had been invited and refused to show up, an invitation probably would have been better than besieging his house. I made the example that if I fell foul of the law, I wouldn't want you to come to my house and come and, raid or whatever. But let's go to the Neoplan station and have an interaction. Sweetie Abochi is there. There's been this issue of transport fares and some drivers not adhering to what the GPRTU and others have agreed to. Sweetie, if you can hear me, what's the situation on the ground?
Well, thank you, Benjamin. We are here at Neoplan Station this morning to see how the 15% fare reduction is taking effect. Remember that GPRTU issued a directive for a 15% reduction in transport fares, and this is on the back of the appreciation of the city and their quest to ease the financial burden on Ghanaian commuters. So here at Neoplan Station, since we got here about an hour ago, we've been speaking to some commuters, and we've seen, in fact, that the drivers have reduced the prices. I spoke to some of them. As you can see, they're using these white papers to mark the reduction in prices. It was 7 cedis, and you can see that now they've written there that it is 6 cedis. I want to talk to those, the drivers themselves. Let me speak to the first driver here and get his take on the matter. Good morning, sir. You're live on Joy News. We are looking at how the transport reduction, the fares in the transport fares are taking effect.
I can't talk.
You can't talk. Well, thank you so much. Let me speak to the ticketing woman. She was giving us the feedback that indeed the reduction is taking effect. Good morning. Thank you for speaking to us. You're live on Joy News. So the directive for the 15% reduction in transport fares is taking effect this morning?
Yes, please.
When did it start?
Oh, last week. That was Saturday. Yeah, we started it on Saturday. I was part.
How I see that this is 6 cedis. How much was it initially?
It was 7 cedis.
So it's just 1 cedi reduction.
Yes.
Is that the 15% we are seeing?
It depends on the fare, because we can if we are deducting the 15%, we might take 5 cedi, 50 pesos. But it depends on the journey, the distance that we are and the fare to. That's why we deduct 1 cedi. Please don't laugh.
Well, I want to hold on for me. I've seen a woman. I'll ask her take on the matter. Good morning, ma. How are you?
Good morning.
You're live on Joy News.
Yeah.
So are you seeing the 15% reduction?
No. It's not yet 15%. Some are still meant almost like they've not even reduced it.
So how much are you paying now
And
compared to
previously it was 8 cedis. I paid from Teshi to Circle 7 cedis. But now I just paid for my boy to school. I gave them 10 cedis. They gave me 5 cedis, 50 pesos. So I mean, it's not yet 15%.
How do you feel about that?
Oh, I have no complaint to complain. I just manage that.
Oh, thank you so much for speaking to us. There's another one on the back seat. I want to also get his take on the matter. So, I mean, she's saying that it's not exactly 15%, but I want to hear what you think about it as well.
Okay, so first of all, I say I'm from Chiblo to Circle, and I've experienced it. I'm supposed to pay 10 cedis, but it's 8 cedi, 50 pesos that they took from me this morning. So I think it's working. I'm okay with that.
Well, they're saying that they are okay with it, but I want to show you what's happening on the board. Come with me for a second, so that we can all look at it for ourselves. So it looks like Fadama, going from here to Fadama will give you 6 cedis, and the woman just told us that it was 7 cedis or so. Going to Swan Lake is 4 cedis. But I want to church away no. Reduction no more say.
First now, yeah, just 7 cedis, but you say 6 cedis. And I Swan Lake no 5 cedis, but you say 4 cedis 50 pesos.
So we and yes 15% reduction. No, calculate in the same. Then a call into reduction.
In Pelifono, a call meeting, you know, almost share now, almost Yamano to 2 years now, almost the blame some mention and go board no so. No be a You're starting last week, you know.
Now, how much dear? Someone more operating transport business to reduction. No, is it aligning with the macroeconomic indicators we are seeing and how the cost of operations really is it aligning?
Yeah, Shanghai, yeah, okay. Yeah.
I want to pose the same question to a driver. Please, are you a driver? 15% reduction. Although your passengers DBC and 15, no, they are okay. However, we want to understand from Momo side in Ekoye.
Yeah, G5, 6, and 5.
The cost of fuel, the cost of spare parts, and everything, more calculating, send them more reducing this year, is working well.
Yeah, calculate spare part, and can say it is so crown. Because spare part in there, baby, spare part in there, baby, Gina, baby, Gina, there, almost so quiet. Even I talk, tin of brave food, 400 cedis. 40 cedis is too much. But while almost say it is so 1 cedi. A buffer. But in your phone, and run a car. When you say, and your phone, and car. Even brave food. I don't say a different thing. Oh, engine oil. Oh, no say a different thing. This for an abefema. And your phone, and run a car. If it's a home you start, second attack, 600 cedis.
Are you okay with the reduction? Is it going well? That's what I want to understand from you as drivers. What are your thoughts?
Me then say econo. Though you are so bad, your passengers in there much as here. Until you con normal econo.
Drivers need be waha or more refuses someone this one and amuni na more hanging.
Nah, yeah, they are teso. Your station had there. You are teso. If you are different station, be na one teso there. That one there I can't tell. But yeah, station had there. That is so. Right.
So there you have it. He's saying that although they are, implementing that 15% reduction, they are not entirely, particularly excited about it because when you look at the factors that goes into the transport fares, like fuel, spare parts, and it's not just the fuel and the spare parts that inflate the prices. And so, be that as it may, they've reduced it and everything seems to be going well. Boss, thank you for speaking to us. Colleague Bako and Yankachi, colleague Bako Nakasha say, and a full ne spare parts in Kwana, Moshed to the air, Muway, and Suma reduce prices. No, if I say a team was say, Ekoyana.
I say a lot of first on the Ekoye, yet a banner say, Nemumi per se, see us here. Engineer driver from Kwanso. So, before me car low price, Nama could you down car high price, eh? Oh, before me car low price, Nama could you any high price, eh? Oh, before me car low price, Nama could toss spare parts near the high price, eh? Ubia say, Okofa near my bayans and $1 near day, Bafom. Oh, Ghana Habibia $1 no Modeka. And this Omokofa near my buy near $2 more. And come back as a $2, it's low price no Omokofa on number ton. Come so the back high. In this Omokofa ba. Nase $1 na before Momon ton said ya. Ye na home but so man penis or ya the onion CS. Ne ye na home to a down for a biane for Bibia go me a driver on my for me car. Mun low price now on fan with man metal with the body. If you have gone off Kanisha G24, Yatias fine. Na me koto emwa ye dia ye emwa emman kontu amienu egurade mu 10 cedi. Yachenam.
All right, I have to do a translation before you lose me there. So he's trying to say that it's not only the fuel prices. I mean, practically reiterating the points of the first speaker. And he's talking about rents, cost of food and all that. He's practically saying that the macro indicator should reflect across all board. So it's not just about the fare, the transport fares that will make any difference. I see some more passengers behind me. This will be my last take and then we'll pop off. Good morning. We are assessing how the 15% reduction in transport fares are taking effect and how you feel about it as commuters. How much were you paying before today?
7 cities. So it was, now it's 6 cities. Okay. So it seems it started on Saturday that they reduced the price, but some of them took it effectively today. Okay. Yes. So are you happy about it? Very. It's just 1 cedi difference. Oh, just 1 cedi. Though it's not enough, but at least he's also trying his best. All right. So it's cool.
Thank you for speaking to us. One last person. Hi, beautiful woman. How is it going with the 15% reduction in transport fares? Happy about it?
It's normal. It's normal.
It's normal.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for speaking to us. So, Benjamin, we are just here speaking to commuters, drivers, and we spoke to some ticketing officers as well, just to understand how it's going this morning. Some people started implementing that 15% reduction from Saturday, while others also started today, Monday. The drivers are saying that all other things should be considered. It shouldn't only be transport fares that will be reduced, because otherwise they might be operating at a loss. We'll give you more updates when we have more, Ben.
Thank you very much. And that's Sweetie Abochi out and about at the New Plant Station around Circle. Let's come into the studio. And so I did a bit of a quick calculation. If you do the 7 cedis to 6 cedis, 15% would actually be 1 cedi, 5 pesos. I do understand that we don't have many of the 5 peso coins in the system. Even the 1 peso ones have been faded out, so to speak. But from the 8 to 7 cedis, the 15% should have accounted for 1 cedi, 20 pesos. And there they are charging 7 cedis instead. So there's some discrepancy there of about 20 pesos. Doc, let me quickly bring you into the fray. Some quick thoughts you have, and then...
Well, it's interesting how sometimes we veer off the line of principle. I heard the president say that the return of the vice president should draw us to rethink our medical facilities in the country. That, for me, is the most important issue at the heart of this matter. Now, the question also is the use of, if you like, a jet or aeroplanes by our state officials in the past and in the present. Is it something that they did or that they do at will without any responsibility to the state? I beg to say that I want to believe that each travel was necessary. The question here, and why I'm sure people are at the neck of my brother Okujeto, is what he said of traveling. It's not the cost, but the traveling in a private jet. And why people would say that, okay, if you say that on a matter of principle, somebody traveling on a private jet would occasion your resignation, then it has happened. But for me, I would not go that far and say that the foreign affairs minister, in fact, he wouldn't do it. When Sami was saying that, I knew he didn't mean what he was saying. The issue is that we should be very careful what we say and how we say it. The Malawians have a proverb that cows are trapped by their horns, men by our words. And we should be very careful as politicians, knowing very well that the honor and integrity of the politician most times hinges on what we say and do. What we say and do. And if there's a discrepancy or a disconnect between what we say in one breath and what we say in another, what we do here and what we do there, either will be seen as hypocrites
Just
or
give me
dishonest.
quick thoughts on this, because from where I sit, I think that, like I said, at that level, they can afford a certain largesse. But at the same time, can we do it lower, at lower expense to the taxpayer? Someone sent me a message that listen, he lives in the UK. He says she could have traveled to Ghana on BA, British Airways, first class, and
Ben,
all of that.
Ben, I will say,
I don't know what you're thinking of that.
It is cheap when we reduce governance conversations to that level.
Right.
The vice president, the president, it wasn't a private visit. She had security attached to her while she was away. Do you know what intelligence went into deciding on that? So for people to say that, oh, you can do BA at this, as it was done in the past, as it's being done now, it's not something we should do to ourselves. We need to, hold our people in dignity, our officers. The last point I want to make is this. This issue about medical conversations. Professor Mills's sickness began in NDC. We heard of it outside the NDC, from within NDC. The letter Alaji Bature was the one who revealed this to me. Professor Mills had gone to South Africa. It was one of the people who were with him that eventually sent a message around, and then Spiogabra took the matter out. It could be that even the issue of the...
Let me just, you are dropping some names, and I can't substantiate that they did what you said.
Oh, so it was in the media.
We are dissociating ourselves from those.
Okay, thank you.
And if you are minded to...
Let me withdraw the names. Let me withdraw them. What I'm saying is that sometimes we do internal issues, and we know how internally people generate these things. But I think the important thing we are all taking from this table is that health issues are delicate. We all can fall sick then. Indeed. At any point in time.
Indeed.
And for us to politicize health as if it is, death, like it's what will gain us political advantage, for me, is sickening. Fresh leaves fall and dry ones fall. And we should all be careful how we engage in conversations about our medical situations.
It's interesting sometimes, because if you look at the plane that is used by POTUS, the President of the United States, and what it's worth and other things, it would be, but of course they are in a different economic bracket, and we are also in a very different economic bracket. We have to blaze through the rest of the papers. Wanda, you've done one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you just give us the headlines of the other one so that I quickly go to Doc as well to do his, and then I'll wrap with Bonfe. Just quickly through the headlines.
More tension looms at Shy Hills. I'm not too sure what the details are. Dr. Benasanti proposes an...
If you want to look at the details just for that, you can. The Shy Hills one.
No, I don't think it's there.
Okay.
Let's seek justice for our continent. President Mahama rallies...
I thought we had already done that.
That is done.
The Ghanaian.
Reduction in fair, that's done. So basically all that I have here is lending rates decline despite BOG's tight monetary policy. You and I know that a lot of good things are happening with our economy. Lending rates are now they've dropped from some 29 to 27% lately, even though government of Ghana tightened its monetary policy rate. They kept it at 28. People were expecting that it would drop, but it's at 28 to tighten up liquidity and all that. And then we are also told that inflation is to drop from an all-time 23% now to 11%, 11.9% projection by end of year.
Okay.
BOG to operationalize Islamic finance in Ghana. I mean, Islamic finance is basically free loans free, loans free of interest and all that. But of course, you have to pay back.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for those thoughts. Later, we'll have a consummate reflection on any of these stories. Let's get into your stories quickly.
So the Daily Gist says that removing Chief Justice isn't like changing a class prefect, says Justice Mensah Bonsu. And then Ablakwa goes deaf over VIP private jet pressure mounts to resign. And then Dami, cross west over Chief Justice's probe. The Minority Caucus ready for resumption. That's the Gist newspaper. And then the Ghanaian Publisher said, I live in Sorry's mind rent-free. And that's Godfrey Dami over the weekend on social media between him and lawyer Thaddeus. Yes, a very eloquent display by lawyer Godfrey Dami and the atomization of his work within the judiciary and the legal system as Attorney General.
But definitely not by Thaddeus, right?
Yeah, what I picked from...
Not an eloquent...
What I picked from...
No, I understand if it's not...
Thaddeus Soris's write-up is the fact that he was accusing Godfrey Dami, Esquire, that he does social media, in quote, gimmicks with legal cases. And I was like, whoa, are you really referring to Godfrey Dami or you are referring to our current Attorney General? It's out there for people to decipher who he was indeed referring to. Okay. And then Minority fired up for Parliament resumption. And then Private Jet vow hunts Ablakwa. And then the Overseer newspaper says CD gains reflects effective leadership. President Mahama tells Dr. Baumia. And then I will prioritize staff welfare, innovation and efficiency, CMC MD. And then my brother Kpakpo Asamoah says that no aspect of CJ's process can be made public. The woman wants to wage her right. She wants the world to know why she's been accused of scolding a lawyer in court, which should warrant her removal from office. It's part of the petitions that was sent, that she scolded a lawyer in court. The lawyer feels that scolding at a lawyer in court should warrant her removal. It's part of the petition that was sent to the president. So, yes, that's basically what I have. If I should go into any of the issues, just briefly. Maybe. I mean, we've not to belabor the point, but my senior brother's submission, it's quite, interesting. On what? That today, we are being told that in renting a private jet to commute a government official probably could have been a medical input. I don't think there's any doctor anywhere who would suggest to a patient that rent a private jet to your hometown or wherever you are coming from or wherever you came from seeking medical help. Probably we could advise on your comfort, your sitting position, your posturing, wherever you are. Can those things be afforded in a luxurious but commercial flight? It's out there for the public to decipher. But today, the interesting thing is that my brother is giving all sorts of reasons for certain action and inactions of government today. On the issue of Dumso, we have been told that it's raining.
Look, we can't keep going.
I'm just,
back.
we are not.
For the sake of time.
I agree. Just for 30 seconds.
I thought you were going to look at
on the issue of Dumso, we have been told that it's raining and we have fibers and cables being laid underground. All of a sudden, the reason for Dumso today is that when it rains, we have fibers underground. So Ghanaians should bear with us. Did it start raining today? Did we just start having cables and fibers being laid underground?
All right, thank
Yet
you.
They went to the market
for those
with all sorts of reasons. The same thing with the private jet.
And I said it on air the other day. I think, again, sometimes when I interact with politicians, it becomes really difficult because I see all sides trying to play the political gimmickry and propaganda. Just a few days ago, when it rained, and I mentioned it on air, that's the good thing. When we called ECG, one of the things they said was that because of the flooding, some of their cables had indeed been affected. So I don't really get your point. I'm saying that it may not be enough because I'm in other countries and it's a thunderstorm and the lights are still on. But sometimes when we get into these, you talk about the flights. I'm complaining myself about what could have been, how much better we could have done. But there are air ambulances. Do you remember? Do you remember the former deputy?
Exactly.
Relax. Do you remember the former deputy finance minister? And the whole talk about bringing him from Komfanochi in a helicopter and all of that. I believe, was it Anda or someone else before that we did say? I think politicians, you should maybe steer clear of this conversation, because
you see, we are saying the same thing.
It generates quite a lot that all of you are
but we are saying the same thing.
Doc,
we are saying the same thing. That indeed.
Your turn, Doc. Please let's. Actually, you realize that I've given you a lot of time.
If a doctor is requesting for a private jet, it won't be a commercial jet. It will be a medical jet.
The most important thing is that let's fix our health facilities. Let's fix our, please, can I have your...
Sorry.
Let's fix our health facilities to be in the state where we would not need anybody to fly out except under exceptional and special circumstances. How many people in the same sick or health situation as the vice president had the opportunity to fly out in this country?
And that's last Friday I was mentioning it. Of those of us sitting here today,
if it happens,
we have a medical emergency.
Yes.
Your last stop may be UGMC or college.
You understand?
Worst case scenario.
Don't joke with such conversations. You know, and that is what I think the president's call should invite us into. And this petty, cheap politics about, you see, it was done in the past. It must be condemned, and it cannot be done today. We cannot elect persons into high office and expect that we will treat them any less. Article 57(2) is clear on it. In the whole of this country, the president takes precedence over everybody. What does it mean? Followed by the vice president, the speaker of parliament, then the chief justice. It is not for nothing that the framers of our constitution put this class of people in that kind of situation of privilege. And that is why the burden on them and the responsibilities on them must also be appreciated as high and requiring of a lot of devotion and sacrifice.
Before I get into your papers, Reverend Lati also says, thanks for your response. The problem, when I said that it was unnecessary getting into that, he says the problem is that the MPP keeps on saying that the president has acted unlawfully on the CJ case. That's why we must challenge those who make the statement on your show. I hope you get my drift. Then he adds, how much is a ton of iron rods, a bag of cement, and a tipper truck of sand and stone? Interesting bit there. Doc, let's get into your... So just give us some topical headlines and then reflect on one or two stories from both papers.
Okay, so minority stages for strategizes for Parliament tomorrow. The custodian newspaper, fearless, fair, and reliable. Unprincipled Ablakwa under fire, asked to resign over private jet saga. Anodompre consoles Aduajiri residents after fatal clashes. NEIP CEO seeks investment partners in Ohio. Tadiosori Dame trade legal blows. The second one, tension at Adenta police station as divisional crime officer refuses to proceed on transfer. Dr. Benasante proposes an African Energy College at Forum of Oil and Gas in Angola. Ofie Market Edition drives economic empowerment in rural communities. Our win leadership in crisis. Court hall swearing in of Ablekuma North MCE amid legal challenge by assembly members. And then Ken Zenozi reaffirms support for Mahama. Sami Jamfi.
All right, so interesting stories there. I know you may not touch on it, but the Ofie market, I've always saluted Samuel Uku for that first, second, and third one, boosting the economy of that area. And I feel if more of these legislators did that, who knows what it would mean to the economies of their areas. Any quick stories you'd like to reflect on?
Well, I think I want to pick on two. Dr. Benasante's call for an energy college in Ghana, for that matter. He was, I think he's the former CEO of Ghana Gas. And the call for me is good that we can dedicate or devote some of our institutions of higher learning to specialized areas like energy. The setup of the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission as far back as 1962 or 64, thereabout. The intention was to have an institution of higher learning, research into science, particularly in the energy sector.
Right.
And I think the pursuit was for the nuclear energy option of adding to what capacity we have in addition to what we had from the hydropower in Akosombo. The nuclear option was to add on to what we can do because energy is critical. And so the call for it today, for me, would be, it's just a right step. Perhaps we can take a second look at the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission. I think they have it's part of the University of Ghana, or they have the university on its own.
University of Ghana.
Yeah, it's under University of Ghana. We can see how best we can create one out of it or expand it and possibly take it out of Accra. Not in Accra. We need the University of Renewable Energy. In Sunyane may be one. I don't know how comprehensive their programs are, but I think it's a good call. Then the issue of...
very briefly on that.
Yeah, briefly. I want to believe that my seniors and friends, Thaddeus and Godfrey, would take it easy with the issues. I read the comments following the publications, and I want to believe that both of them will do themselves and everybody closer to them well by ceasing fire and letting tranquility prevail. Thank you.
Thank you for those thoughts. I'll just wrap with my headlines and some brief thoughts. Galamsey, President Mahama highlights progress, challenges, and solutions. Business consumer confidence in economy surges, highest level in 7 years. Bank of Ghana stays policy rate at 28%. Visa scam rocks embassy in US. Staff create fraudulent account, employee sacks. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has recalled all staff of Ghana's mission in Washington, D.C., with immediate effect over alleged fraudulent activities uncovered in that embassy. Some officers of Ghana's embassy in the U.S. were found to have allegedly created a parallel bank account to the state accounts in which they collect visa and other service fees due the embassy. You want to grab a copy of the Daily Graphic and get into that story. On page 18, reconstitute framework for appointment of EC officials. Catholic Bishops Conference says so. On the back page, Gold Stars Asante Kotoko share spoils in stalemate. Nations FC still atop the league log. Asante Kotoko in third. Hearts of Oak in fifth, with Hearts of Lions in fourth. The News Center, Veep and private... Okay, so I'll just skip those we've done. EcoBank reaffirms commitment to Ghana's development. CD soars by 24.1% against dollar, British pound 16.2%, euro 14.1% in the year to May 21, 2025. And this final one from the Ghana Catholic Bishops Conference. Declare state of emergency over Galamsey, Catholic bishops to Mahama. Gentlemen, for the sake of time, which has eluded us, we're going to have to cap it off here. I'm grateful to all of you for your time. Those who joined us this morning, James Kwabena Bomfe Jr., PhD, CEO of Census and lecturer at the UPSA. Thank you, sir, for joining the conversation. Dr. Ezekiel Obeng, he is with the MPP's Communications Directorate. Thank you for joining the conversation. And we also had Wanda Madilo, who is with the NDC Communications team. Wanda, thank you very much. All right. So that's how we cap off the news review this morning. Stick and stay. We'll be segueing right into our big stories shortly. Do stay. About the Pan-African AI Summit, which will be coming your way in the month of September, the 23rd and 24th days. And joining us for a conversation on the back of that, we have Reginald Ankra. He's an AI consultant in the UK and a speaker at this event. We also have Mr. Donko. He's a committee advisor also in the UK. Both of them join us for a conversation. Gentlemen, let's do a quick mic check since you're on Zoom. Thank you for joining the conversation. Can I hear Reginald? Can I hear Mr. Donko?
Hello, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Who's speaking, please?
This is Mr. Donko, Felix Donko coming, speaking.
All right. So Felix Donko, thank you. Can I hear from Reginald? Good morning.
Hi. Good morning.
All right.
Thanks for having us.
It's a pleasure having you. So, Reginald, I want to come to you. You're a speaker. I would have wanted to start from what inspired this whole, mindset, the creation of the Pan-African AI Summit. But since you're a speaker, I would like to start from what you can share with us in terms of your area of expertise in AI and the key insights that the audience will benefit from come this Pan-African Summit.
Thank you. So I specialize in deploying ethical AI at scale. I help organizations define their AI strategy, take models from prototype through governance and move them into live operations that deliver measurable benefit and social impact. And I also help upskill their team. So I've delivered solutions across various organizations, including finance, media and communication, health, energy, NGOs, and the public service. And at the summit, I would walk attendees through 3 big lessons that I've learned through my years of deploying AI solutions, which is how to bake fairness and transparency into every step of an AI project, so biased outcomes never slip through. The second would be to understand why every AI solution must be designed for its local context if you want real impact. And the third is how a modular governance-first approach lets you repurpose one AI solution across multiple industries.
That's an interesting standpoint. But if you look at the AI landscape, how do you think it can transform, the approach at finding solutions to real problems? And I'm talking about the impact it could have on business, on education, on healthcare and the like, especially on the continent of Africa.
That's a really good question. So for me, AI isn't just a buzzword, right? When tailored to Africa's realities, it's a productivity and inclusion powerhouse. Now think about this. In education, imagine an AI that adapts lessons to student skills and pace on the fly and boosts completion rate by up to 25%, especially for underserved students. In healthcare, think of a hospital decision support tool that flags at-risk patient 24 to 48 hours sooner, cutting readmission by almost a fifth. In agriculture, a smartphone-based vision system can spot cocoa fungal infection early, helping farmers cut crop losses by up to 30%. And in finance and telecom, automated reporting can enhance productivity by up to 50%, while an explainable fraud detection system can have false positive and keep customer trust. That is AI driving change. And I think that is the kind of impact we can resonate across Africa through the summit.
All right. Now, in terms of implementing AI solutions on the continent of Africa, I don't know what challenges you have faced. What have they been? And how do you think more can be done to enhance its efficacy on the continent?
So on the ground, usually 3 hurdles always pop up. First is data quality and availability. Many organizations struggle with fragmented legacy system and inconsistent data standards. For example, with one of my telco clients, I spent over 40% of our project timeline simply unifying data schemas before the model development actually began. So it's a really big problem with data quality and availability, but there's also the issue of skills and change management. Right? Even with the best AI models, frontline users still need training and trust. And thirdly, there is a lack of proper governance and ethical frameworks. And often this breeds a significant risk of biased and opaque decisions being made by AI models. And that is why this AI summit is really vital, because by convening cross-sector leaders, this summit fosters shared standards where we leverage breakout sessions to co-create common data governance templates. Also, capability building through hands-on workshop that pairs policymakers, technologists, and end users to address the skills gap. And this one is very close to my heart, an ethics roundtable where practitioners will surface real dilemmas and devise rapid deployment guardrails. And I believe this collaborative environment accelerates solutions that are not only powerful, but also trustworthy and sustainable.
Let me go to Felix for a bit now. As far as this event is concerned, what would you say are the objectives and themes of this Pan-African AI Summit coming off in September?
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. It's a very good question. Now, the Western world has, if you will, already taken flight on this. So the government institutions in America, government institutions in Europe, they're taking it on the governmental level. They put in investment. Microsoft has put about 80 billion into it. AI by Elon Musk is putting money into it. Most of the big organizations are looking at this AI as an enabler. Now, if the Western world is taking that on the governmental level, I think it's about time that we, the Ghanaians and Africa in general, also not get left behind. And so the most important thing is for us to tag along, but more importantly, bring it to the landscape of where we are, where it can benefit our cultural society, our youth, and our skill set within the setting where we are. So we're not talking about lifting a wholesale approach from Western to Africa, but making it an enabler for us to also be able to grow and to be able to improve skill set. And so we're tagging along what is actually becoming a mammoth change. It's a landscape change across the world. And if the Western world is doing that, we should also be tagging along.
Now, I do know that for events such as this one, strategic partnerships are crucial. But having spoken about that, they are crucial to the success of the event. But what are the boons, the benefits that any sponsors are likely to get? Can you walk us through that?
So with the market to hit AI, we're talking about 4.92 billion. And the global talks are speaking about recent summit in Kigali, where they talked about 60% of the world income is going to come from AI. Right. So that alone, if you are a company out there, that alone should give you the motivation to say, let me invest in this, let me support this if I can, whichever way that I can. Right. Whether it's cost cutting, whether it's efficiency, whatever it is that can make you move the needle from where you are now in terms of progress and efficiency and cost cutting, then this is what you have to be getting yourself along with. We've got partners coming from Deloitte. We've got the Bank of Ghana really supporting on this one. We've got lots of institutions from the UK, from US, Google, IBM, who are willing to support. And this is almost like a social case where everyone is willing to land and to give their support to the best of their ability. So if you're a business out there and you really are wanting to have solutions to cut costs, to make your employees more efficient at work, then this is the event for you.
You speak about businesses. To what extent will this event foster collaboration, especially on the continent, as far as innovators, businesses and others are concerned?
The summit is for everyone, small businesses, startups, and communities. So we're hosting tech AI skills. Somebody like Reginald can actually give practical skills that will be coming. They will be showcasing solutions, AI-powered healthcare apps that he talked about for rural areas, creating spaces for marginalized voices, women and youth to shape, people that wanting to really bring change to the world and to the market and to Africa for us. So this is just for everyone, every business out there, not just for the elite. It emphasizes inclusivity and tangible benefit, addressing concerns that we have, be it education, agricultural, healthcare. These are going to be discussed and there will be tangible solutions, practical workshops and discussions, panel discussions. We have the Minister of Communication and Digitalization giving the keynote. He has acknowledged and understood the need for this within our system, and more importantly, for Ghana to take the lead in this one. So every organization out there, startup, big, medium, is welcome.
Okay, before I go back to Reginald, Felix, for you one more time. What do you think the impact of this Pan-African AI Summit will be, especially if you consider AI adoption and digital innovation in Africa? At the end of all of this, where do you hope the chips will fall?
So that's a very, very good question. I will say, what in a very simple term, is going to foster homegrown innovation. Homegrown innovation where we develop, we use our own skill set to understand and ensure that we drive our own AI future and not relying on others. Because most of the time, we pick things from what has been developed by other people and we use it. But with AI and the inclusion and the opportunity for everyone, long story short, when the event finishes, we are able to have that homegrown innovation. Somebody like Reginald and other businesses, other startups, other innovators actually giving the practical solutions for businesses that will be coming.
Reginald, for you, come D-Day, or the D-Days, in fact, 23rd and 24th of September, when this event is held, for the attendees, what can you share with us that will be the highlights, the main points, the takeaways that they should look forward to?
Yes, thank you. So in terms of key takeaways for me from the session, first would be seeing ethical AI as a competitive edge. Now, transparency and fairness for me aren't nice to haves. They're a foundation of user trust and broad adoption. And then the second would be thinking cross-industry usability when you're building AI solution. So a modular governance-first architecture means you can adapt one solution from any industry, from energy to agriculture to finance. That helps organizations to squeeze the maximum ROI from their data science investment. And then the final one for me, which is a really big one, is people-centered deployment, where we embed AI into real workflows through code design with frontline users, and then hopefully start training them from day one, so that we can see the efficiency gain actually translate into genuine social impact.
So your work and the discussions at this summit, my final bit to you before I take your final words then would be how you hope it would foster that entrepreneurial spirit. Because in the end, AI, yes, far more developed in other parts of the world, but how can entrepreneurs use it to kickstart the African economy from right down there? What would be your response to that?
Well, I believe the magic happens when pilots meet community capacity building, right? And hopefully at the summit, we're going to really hone in into that, where we would share open source toolkits so entrepreneurs can kick off pilot projects immediately without starting from scratch, building mentorship network that pairs tech leaders with university incubators in regional places like Accra, Lagos, Lomé, Johannesburg, Nairobi, Kigali, many more. Think about that. And then also hosting policy hackathons where team turn AI-driven ideas into fundable prototypes by day's end. And I believe equipping participants with proven playbooks and connecting them to fellow change makers will spark a self-sustaining cycle of innovation and growth across the African continent.
So, gentlemen, as I take your final words, I also want you to give that call to action. And if you'd like to encourage sponsors to come aboard as well, this would be the time. I'll start with Felix on that.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I want to just say that there's always skepticism about AI taking jobs and replacing jobs. AI won't replace jobs if we shape it right. It can rather create jobs. The summit will focus on upskilling workers to use AI, and it's also going to focus on cost cutting and all the efficiencies that will come up. So if you're a business out there that you want your business to be efficient, you want to meet with the policymakers, you want to meet with the people who can help actually drive real life solutions in your business and also amongst your people, then please go to PanAfricanAISummit.com and register and be part of the ecosystem that we are shaping. Be part of the conversation, and let's see how best we can solve our solutions together.
All right. Coming to you, Reginald.
So I've seen AI firsthand, the impact it's had and how it's really offered good impact solutions across different and diverse industries. Right. Now, there's a saying that goes that if you want to go far, you go alone. If you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you go together. And as an African continent, if we really want to go far and hone in into this AI frenzy and really turn AI into real impact across the African continent, then we need everyone to come on board for us to work together. And I believe this summit is a really good turning point for us to start doing that. So I urge everyone to come, share, let's collaborate, let's work together, and let's turn Africa into the next big AI continent. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, for joining the conversation. It's all about the Pan-African AI Summit coming through in September on the 23rd and 24th days. It will be an avenue for talking AI and how it can boost business, health, education, and more. Those who joined us for the conversation, Reginald Ankra, he's an AI consultant in the UK. He is a speaker. We also had Felix Donko, a committee advisor also in the UK. Quick question for you. Are you looking for a home in a prime location? Nesta's Homes has got you covered if you're thinking of that. Our properties in Tema Community 26, just behind the Palace Mall, offer a serene atmosphere, easy access to transportation routes, and social amenities. Now, off-plan prices start at $35,000 US, and now the price has fallen quite a bit, so it's time to cash out, if you know what I mean. Contact us today on 0531 014 440 or 0531 014 447. Visit our website at www.nestas.com.gh. And as you think of real estate, you'll definitely have to think water. So let's talk water tanks. Do you know the secret to real water storage? It's really simple. If your tank doesn't have the tortoise on it, then it's not the correct tank. That's right, the tortoise tank, Syntex tank, is the champion of water tanks. It is strong, it is durable, it is built to handle our Ghanaian weather. So rain or shine, Syntex tank has your back. So go out there, my people, check your tank. If it doesn't have a tortoise on it, it's time to think again, upgrade. Join the Syntex tank family today and enjoy water storage that's tough like a tortoise, or maybe tough like a Zuma Nelson. Call 0244 335 168 to buy now or find one of our 400 agents nationwide. You can also shop online at syntexgh.com. Syntex tank, are you strong? Are you tough? Still to come, it's Purple Month. We're going to be talking about mental health. But even before that, it's all about the latest spillage by the Ghana Water Company Limited at the Weija Dam. What happens from here? We'll be telling you about that after the break. Don't you forget, the AM show is proudly sponsored by Waylead Properties. We provide quality housing at an affordable cost and with a flexible payment option. Welcome back. It's the AM show. And even before we talk about mental health, let's quickly take a stab at the Ghana Water Company Limited as it commences the spillage of excess water from the Weija Dam, warning residents of Titegu, Oblogo, Pambro Salt, Lower McCarthy Hill, Lower Weija, Bojo Beach, Adakopa and surrounding communities to evacuate and avert any catastrophe. We'll be taking you to the ground in a bit, but first off, let's engage Stanley Mate. He speaks for the Ghana Water Company Limited. He's Director of Public Relations there. Mr. Mate, a very good morning to you, sir. Hello, Stanley Mate. Can you hear me, sir? Please unmute for me, sir.
Yes, good morning, my brother. How are you doing?
Good morning, Mr. Mate. I am very well. I still remember the last time you were in the studio, not too long ago.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure having you. It's always good having you. Walk us through.
Thank you very much.
Walk us through this latest spillage. It's not the first time it's been happening, but just walk us through why we need to spill at this point in time.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, we have constructed a dam some 50 years ago on the Denso River at Weija. Okay, so this dam serves as a storage where we store water in the river, or we use the river as a reservoir to enable us to abstract water for treatment throughout the year. Now, we all know how dams are constructed. They are constructed using stones to block the flow of the river. And then there's a spill gate because then there are certain times where we could have excess water in the dam. So that's how it's been over the period. Now, every year when there are rains, okay, or this dam has been constructed to have a maximum operating level of 50 feet. Now we have been advised to maintain the level at 48 feet. So our maximum operating level is 48 feet. But per our standard operating procedures, we maintain the level, or we don't have to go beyond 47 feet. Now, to enable us have water to use throughout the year, we do well to maintain the level between 44 feet and 45 feet. Beyond 45 feet, then it means you are getting excess water into the dam, and dam has spilled away. Okay, so every year when there are rains and there are more inflows into the dam, we open the spill gates for the water, the excess water to go off. So then anytime we realize that the water level is moving from 45 feet, 41.5, 45.1, 45.2, because we monitor the levels on daily basis.
Right.
So anytime we realize that it's going beyond that level, that means we open the spill gates. And we also use the levels of increase on daily basis to know the number of gates that we should open. So we start with one gate at 6 inches, and when the levels are still rising, we increase the flow. We increase the number of gates to, let's say, 2 at another 6 inches. So we do that until we open all 5 gates. Now, when there are still more inflows, then we increase the first level of opening from 6 inches to 12 inches. Okay, so we'll keep doing that until and just to ensure that the levels in the dam are maintained. Now, the water level will only go beyond 45, 46 feet only when the inflows are more than what we are spilling over, that's the outflows. Okay, and we always do well to ensure that we do not go beyond that level. You remember that 4 years ago, we went beyond that level because there were more inflows, and that caused a lot of havoc. Now, the challenge in that area is that a lot of people have encroached on the buffer zone of the river course, to the extent that people are now even building into the river course. Now, we all know that water finds its own level at any time. If at a point, or if the water is flowing and any structure impedes the flow of the river, definitely water will divert into other areas because it will find its own level. You understand? And that is what is causing the problem over there. There are people who are living on safe grounds, but the others who have encroached on the buffer zone are the ones creating the problem because they have put up structures that impede the flow of the river. So the river diverts into other safe grounds.
Mr. Martin, quick question. For those who have built unapproved structures on these buffer zones, like you rightly put, this isn't the first time we're talking about them. What is the long-term measure to deal with the situation?
To demolish every structure that is built on in unauthorized area along that area, especially on the buffer zone.
Because it also poses a threat.
And then we ensure that we dredge that whole area and dredge especially the estuary. Now, in dredging, we have to maintain a certain level because if we do not do that, then there'll be times where the sea, when we have high tides in the sea, it will retreat into the system and cause the same havoc as well.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
So at least the river level must be slightly higher than that of the sea. And then we have to ensure that we dredge the estuary. There are 2 estuaries, one at Chokobe and one at Zuboma. So all the estuaries there must be dredged so that the water can have a free flow into the sea. That is the mandate and duty of the district assembly. And as stakeholders, we have all met, we've discussed all those things. So our expectation is that they'll do the needful. And then the structures that are impeding the flow, especially on the buffer zones, could be demolished so that the water can flow freely into the sea.
How urgent is it that, though I mentioned long term, how urgent is it that this be done, especially as it could be a safety issue for the very people who are, so to speak, squatting there or putting up illegal structures? Before I get to other questions.
For me, it is very urgent because lives are precious. Lives are more precious than the properties that we own. Okay, so that you should think first of all about your life. Because, for instance, as of this morning when I checked on the bulletin, the levels are around 45 feet, and we have opened 2 spill gates at 6 inches each. Okay, now if, for instance, by midnight or around midnight, we see more inflows into the system such that it is going beyond 47 feet all of a sudden, we will open all spill gates. Okay, and when that is done, we can't say that we are waiting to come and announce to everybody living in the area that the levels all of a sudden have risen to 47, 40, and it's going on to 48. So we are opening all spill gates for them to evacuate. That is why we have started earlier in March to conscientize them that, look, this is imminent. So please evacuate the place. We have spoken to the Landlords Association, ensure that there are no structures in unauthorized locations. Because if you live in a safe ground and you think for you don't care, you are safe, okay? Somebody's irresponsibility could cost you your life or could cost you your property.
Right.
So it's important that you ensure that there are no structures at unauthorized locations so that you can be safe where you are. But never assume that you are safe when you have neighbors who are responsible.
Mr. Marty, what has been the plan for evacuation so far? You mentioned a number of areas. We are talking Tetegu, we are talking Oblogo, we are talking Pambros or Lower McCarthy Hill, and it goes on and on. What has been the plan for evacuation, and what has been the level of compliance, as far as you know?
I think NADMO should be in a position to discuss this issue. So don't let me dilute what they are doing. I mean, they'll give you more detailed answers to what.
I know you are not directly involved, but I just want to know, as far as you know, what has happened so far.
They are actually on the ground. They are actually on the ground, and so I want to believe that they are doing the right stuff. And we have met somewhere in February, and we have discussed all these things. We have been meeting continuously. So I'm very sure that they are doing the needful to ensure that the people leave. But you know something? We've always been on the ground. I've always been on the ground with my team. When you talk to people, they ask you, any baby any baby and you tell them the dangers involved, and they say, any baby. So they are not, most of them are not even ready to leave. What can I do?
Any final words for us?
Sorry?
Any final words for us, Mr. Marty?
Those of us who have relatives living downstream and the dam, I'll entreat you to support them, evacuate the area, whatever assistance that they need. And they shouldn't only depend on NADMO or on government, but at least the little that we can do for our relatives and our friends down there, we should be able to do that. Because when any eventuality should occur, we are going to even spend more money on them than if you have to support them now to evacuate the place. So I'll treat everybody to do so. And then let's have a peaceful and safe country. Thank you very much.
Mr. Marty, thank you. We're grateful that you always talk to us. Stanley Marty is Director of Public Relations at the Ghana Water Company Limited. We're grateful for your time, sir. Did you know? Thank you. Did you know that 95% of people with mental health conditions were impacted by stigma? As we observe Purple Month, a month set aside by the Mental Health Authority to create awareness on mental health issues, we discuss stigmatization and the prejudices against people living or contending with mental health challenges. And in fact, if you contemplated the spillage of the Weija Dam and those living in the catchment area, that is a mental health concern for them, because, Charlie, right now, be a shit, what do I say? And that's what we're talking about this morning. Dr. Kwesi Entwi Kranting joins me in the studio. He is passionate about mental health. He's been working in the mental health space for some time, and he cut his teeth at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, and he's been posted to the Ankafo Psychiatric Hospital, and he served as acting clinical care coordinator there. He joins us in the studio. We also have Kenneth Owusu-Ansah, a clinical psychologist, joining the conversation. Let me start with Mr. Ansah, just to be sure he's online with us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Right. It's Dr. Ansah, right?
Yes, please.
All right. Thank you very much for that. And we also have Dr. Entry in the studio. Doc, thank you for joining the conversation.
Glad for having me.
Was I right in making that point about those in the Weija?
Oh, you are very right.
Weija enclave.
Very, very right. Yes, by now people are already anxious about where to go, what to do, what if the water comes into my house or break down everything. And so people in this period may have a lot of things going on. The truth in actual fact is people are on a continuum, like between good mental health and mental illness. You have people in any space. So anything at all can be something that
can cause an imbalance.
Can cause an imbalance, that's the word. So nobody is immune from any mental distress, actually, yeah.
Dr. Ansah, I don't know what your reflections are on that particular situation. Just how much anguish could something like this cause for those living, especially on the buffer zone, where they could be affected by the spillage?
Yeah, as Doc Riley said, with mental health, irrespective of whom you are, at some point in time, due to certain crises or issues you are likely to face, you are likely to experience some of these things. So why? Because it's usually influence your thought process, your feelings, and how you act. And you could see that they're going through these issues. It's a major form of of stressor. Sometimes it could even lead up to some trauma, whereby some people, let's say they've seen a relative or someone, a close person, going through such phases. So usually it brings up certain reminders, because some people, maybe they've gone through certain crisis previously, which led up to a massive impact in their thought process. So sometimes when these things happen, all of a sudden it lead up to a trigger. Then day in and day out, they'll be having some forms of flashbacks, and they can't sleep. Some people, they can't even sleep out of these things. So in most situations, going through some of these flooding issues could serve as a main trigger, leading up to other forms of mental disorders that they are really experiencing. Yeah.
Let me come back into the studio, Dr. Kranteng. Mental health is something you're very passionate about. That's why you are in this field. When you look at where we are as a country and the issue of stigma, how endemic is it? How problematic is it really?
So it's endemic. It's a lot of, like you rightly said, 95% of our clients, and even it extends to us, the practitioners too, where
wow, you also get affected.
Oh yes. So I think you've heard people throw some remarks about how if you are with clients for a long time, you start behaving like them. These are some snide remarks we get even as practitioners. So yes, it's really endemic. The problem is, once you do that, people who suffer some mental illness tend to, there's this shame and stigma, and because people tend to have prejudices toward them, they also internalize these feelings, leading to low self-esteem. They also self-stigmatize. Now, adherence to treatment becomes a problem. Now, you've written a prescription for somebody like this. He has to go out and get it. The very idea that once somebody sees my medication, the person would have an idea what I'm suffering from, would prevent the person from going to even get the drug in the first place. Now we have...
Which will then leave them suffering in silence.
So yes. So now then there's a problem at home. People will tend to keep their relatives in the house, or rather take them to prayer camps than bring them, because the idea that, I'm sending my relative to Accra Psychiatric or Pantine, already.
Yeah, because
So there's a problem with that. And it even extends to the hospital where there's healthcare bias, because then I've had clients come and I examine them and I'm like, no, your relative is sick. Because we tend to forget that there are medical conditions that can also present like psychiatric illness. So then this is a case of high BP or even very low sugar. The person is either hallucinating, talking, or behaving in a certain manner. And because we are fixated on the illness the person has, every other thing, you don't even consider them. There was a client who came, I realized it was a surgical case. But the woman was insistent, oh, she's unwell. This is where we come. And I'm like, no, what your client is going through is beyond psychiatric illness. The reason why she's been indoors and she's in pain. But she's not vocalizing because she knows if she says it, we are going to ignore her. So even relatives tend to miss very critical points in healthcare. We have to look at the person as a holistic being. The person is not defined by whatever condition they have. So if the person has appendicitis, bringing the person to Pantine would not be, And so that's how deep stigmatization goes. You tend to even miss something because we have labeled.
Signals, and then you shut the door.
And then you shut the door.
Let me come to Dr. Ansah on this matter. I need you to hit the nail on this, because when we speak of mental health, for most people, the thinking is watiche, wabadam, but there's a whole range of different things that can affect our psyche that could lead us to act in certain ways, and not necessarily because the person has totally lost his or her marbles. Walk us through that.
Exactly. Yeah. So in most situations, when it comes to mental health, we are dealing with your emotions, your psychological and social well-being. So as I earlier opined, we are dealing with how you think, how you feel, and also act during certain critical moments. And in most situations, it plays an integral role in how we handle stress, because in most situations, we find ourselves in stressful situations day in and day out. So one key thing about mental health is that it is no respect of persons. It could affect anyone at some point in your life, because sometimes you hit a hard rock and at that moment you need someone there for you. At that point in time, you're also going through some mental health issues. So just like any physical health, our mental health needs critical care and attention, because as Doc earlier opined, in most situations, people stigmatize whenever people are going through certain issues. And this even draw people back from even resorting to the necessary professionals or institutions, mental health institutions, to seek support. So it is about time we need to destigmatize some of these things and know that just like anyone experiencing BP or even diabetes or whatever physical condition, and they can directly go to the hospital. In the same vein, that's how mental health is like. Any of us could experience it at some point in our life. And sometimes some of these people, when they are going through these things, we call something known as learned helplessness. They are more helpless, thinking that, okay, they don't have the necessary resources at their disposal just to bounce out of what they are going through. So it is high time we need to come together as a unit and sing a unison that, hey, we need to provide the necessary support for them at that point in time, because any of us could experience it. Yeah.
Dr. Ansah, both of us use glasses, and I am told that medically, practically everybody has some slight eye defect. It just may not progress to the point where you may need glasses. And some of us have ended up, I used to tease people in glasses a long time, so maybe this is karma coming back at me many years ago. But the same sort of applies to mental health, right? At any point, some imbalance, you lose your equilibrium, you've lost your job, or something has happened, and you may not be so stable within that period. Is that not the case?
Exactly, because we all have genetic predispositions. Biologically, we all have genetic predispositions. In genes, we call something known as recessive gene and dominant gene. So it's possible that, okay, during this time, you're not experiencing because the genes that you have for those mental conditions are recessive. But something triggers it. Environmental factors triggers it, like the stress that I'm referring to. When it happens like that, we call it epigenetics. So since all of us have these genetic predispositions, when we find ourselves in certain stressful situations whereby we have difficulties overcoming it because we don't have the necessary coping styles or resilience just to handle those stresses, then out of it, those recessive gene begins to become a full-blown thing because something has really triggered it, which is the stress that we are experiencing. So that's what we are saying with mental conditions. It is no respect of persons. Any of us could experience like any physical conditions whereby we are saying, okay, genes plays an important role and certain things trigger it. The same thing like mental health. That's how it is.
Right. It doesn't have to be schizophrenia. It can be depression in different forms.
Yeah,
you are depressed because of something that is happening in a period in your life.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the avenues of seeking help. Okay. That's a crucial point for me. When people go through these motions, where can they get help? Doc was just talking about some institutions and all of that. Yeah. Walk us through where people can go.
So we tried very hard to decentralize care. So the thing is, most of our government facilities have a mental health unit. You can walk in there.
So government, public health
institutions, so in district hospitals and municipal hospitals, all of these have mental health unit. You just walk in and then you have a conversation with whoever you meet there. If the level of what you need is not available at the moment, you would be referred to a higher institution. The thing is, we have decentralized it, and there is help available for everybody.
Okay. Is there anything you'd like to add on to that, Doc? Dr. Ansar?
Yeah, so one thing is we have myriad forms of institutions available. And when you throw your mind back to some time ago, you could see that, okay, we have few mental health professionals, and there has been a massive growth when it comes to these things. True. So one thing is, anyone who is experiencing, as you rightly pointed out, it doesn't have to do with most of the severe forms of mental conditions that we know of, schizophrenia, bipolar, and whatsoever. Sometimes all of us, we can go through certain stresses. Stress is a form. We can go through a certain depressive phase or even anxiety. All these things, help is there because we have the necessary professionals who are well-versed and they are ready to offer any support that you really want. So it is high time we need to let go of the stigma, thinking that, hey, if someone is going through certain phases, then there's a problem. That means, the person is, as in quotes, is mad. Because any of us could experience some of these things. And one thing about in our cultural realms is that men has been also made to believe that, hey, you're going through especially depression, and even talking about it is a sign of weakness. But as I said, mental conditions is no respect of anyone. We can all go through it. And at some point in your life, you need a form of support. So even getting someone just to talk out your issues with, it's a healing. What is a healing to? It has nothing to do with the fact that you are a weak person. Look, because any of us could experience it. So it is high time we need to have that sort of support and give to everyone, irrespective of who you are. Yeah.
Dr. Karanting, traditionally, some traditional practices also don't, they mitigate or militate against, talking about some of these factors. And we must also point out that it could also reach the point of suicide for some people when it comes to these. But I also want us not to run away from substance use disorders. Okay. Nowadays we talk about Wunim Red. Yeah. Wunim Red. Wunim Red. Okay. And all of that. Let's talk about some of those as well and how they can feed into mental health disorders.
Okay, so I think that's the latest wave we are dealing with at the moment. There are lots of substances on the market, or I don't even...
Excessive tramadol cocktails. Because tramadol
in itself
medicinal in the right milligrams.
And it's a very good, but where the 225 milligram of tramadol, that's outrageous. I don't even know how people are coming up with these things. But we get clients and they mention substances, and you know some of these have street names. So molly, hashish, shisha, nicotine. The people are doing, and the thing is, usually there's a cocktail. So you start taking it, you keep exciting yourself, and then you need more. So yesterday's dose would not be enough to give you today's high. So you have to go up on the dose to give you that excitement you got yesterday. Now it gets to a
your
certain
threshold keeps getting
to. That's when we say tolerance is building up. Then now they keep doing the cocktail, like you mentioned, and it becomes very difficult. Now the thing with
and it's also affecting your liver, your kidneys.
Oh yes, so there are a lot of medical conditions or side effects from these substances. Now the thing is, for most of these, they would be a trigger, or there are risk factors for the development of some of these conditions. For some people, however, they are actually medicating with these substances. So they're actually having an underlying condition. So there have been times where you've heard, oh, on Weija or our bottom. But it could be that he had a condition, and then he realized that when he takes the weed, he becomes calmer, and the voices he's hearing goes away. So he's actually medicating with, some are actually coping. Let's alcoholics. So you've lost your job. Now you think you can do that by looking at the bottom of a glass. So you are that's your coping mechanism. And you are you are doing it wrongly. You are coping with your stress or whatever wrongly. And people are doing alcohol. So yes, these substances are also, should I say, worsening the situation on the ground, because yes, there are people with conditions, they are medicating and now they get hooked onto that, and then the cycle keeps going. It's a vicious cycle, because then when you get addicted.
Worse for people who are predisposed. They have,
yes, of course,
the predispositions your colleague just spoke about.
Yes.
You add this cocktail and
then now, so that becomes, so there are people who may not have had overt clinical symptoms, but for the substances they took. So once they did, and then now, so I've had people even with anxiety disorders, we try to take the history and realize they went to a party. I mean, I'm talking about university students, so, drink up, and then the punch was laced with weed. And now they have very, very serious anxiety issues. So they can't sit still, they always think something bad is about to happen to them, they are having palpitations all the time. Had it not been for that party they attended, they would have been fine. So substances are actually, yes, causing or triggering people into some mental health.
In other words, Doc, we must also be very careful. I, for example, I don't drink. Sometimes people get surprised, oh, you don't drink even beer. My worst case is wine, and it's very low. Maybe 5%. Okay. If I can get even lower, fine. But it means we should also be careful when you go to events and all of that. Sometimes,
very, very
just
careful.
Try, you are
very,
very
careful. You are not really sure, because apparently some genes have even been implicated in alcohol use disorder. So you realize that in some families, father is drinking, his brothers are drinking now, you, the son, maybe, and then you go and take that first shot. That's it for you. You are gone. Because now you have activated the gene, and then now dopamine too is flooding your brain. You want more, and so you keep, and then it becomes a very, very serious.
Remember those who used to go around back then with the mice traps and all of that? For you, the disposition is there. It's when you're
then you're gone.
You don't want to go there. But Doc, on the socio-economic front, sometimes people also complain that, well, I do want to go, but my pocket, it doesn't, and sometimes those on the high end, the extreme, end of the spectrum, it becomes pretty expensive. What can you say about that, and how accessible is treatment by the state in public, institutions?
Yes, one key thing is that with addiction, the state institutions, unfortunately, they are quite few. me, for instance, I'm stationed at Kumasi, and the unfortunate thing is, in most situations, when we have cases of addiction, referring people to public rehab centers becomes a difficult thing here, because in Kumasi we don't have like a public rehab center. So
you don't have a public rehab center in Kumasi.
Exactly.
That was going to be my very next point. Wow. Okay.
It becomes what something we need to champion. And most private institutions, some people, socioeconomic wise, they can't really afford, because rehab, the resources is really quite huge. Because I know some institutions taking some huge sums of money. So, and rehab to them minimum is like 3 months. Sometimes you need to spend like 6 months. So imagine sometimes within a month, someone paying 5,000 to 10,000, it becomes a problem. The person can't really afford. So that is where the talk need to scale downwards, whereby we need to set up several public rehab centers to alleviate people from such situations. Yeah.
In Kumasi, where you are, about per your experience and the number of people you see, about how many rehabilitation centers do you would need to be there? Maybe state-owned, so that the cost can be beaten down. About how many, if I asked you?
In most situations, Kumasi is situated at the middle belt. So we have several referrals coming in, especially Konkonoche, coming in from several regions. Yeah. So we have several cases of it. So I believe that setting up not less than even 5 rehab centers around could help reduce some of these cases. And we've realized that in Ashanti region too, there's a surge when it comes to some of these substance use and other addictions. So hence, it is really imperative for us to set up some of these rehab centers that will cater for these things around. Yeah.
Dr. Krante, yes, I was about to veer right into rehabilitation, and he took us there. From where you sit in terms of practice, what more do you think needs to be done? And link that to the Mental Health Authority and how much is being tabled to the Ghana Health Service, the Ministry of Health, to go down this road. After all, we pushed, and we had a health authority, right? Yes, but where do we go from there?
Okay, so yes, like he rightly mentioned, a lot more has to be done. We need, here in the lower belt, especially in Accra, there are a lot of private rehab centers. The public ones, Kolebu, Pantine, and then Accra Psychiatric also do that. But I keep telling people when I'm doing my education and advocacy that whatever you are doing is very expensive. Even at our level, you are not looking at anything less than 6,000 a month. And if you are doing it for 6 months, that's 36,000. You see how expensive it is. So whatever you are doing is very, very expensive. I know a lot of advocacy has gone on, especially at the national level. Conversations are being had. I know at our AGSM last 2 years, the NHIA was involved, and currently some of our conditions have been drafted into the National Health on the scheme. So yes, a lot of work is being done at that level to encourage the conversation and then to advocate that more money especially is pumped into mental health. Okay. Yes, so yeah.
Okay. As I take your final thoughts, gentlemen, I also want you to speak to all of us. You are the experts. We are learning. What can we do to stay away? As for the stresses, they will come at work, at school, and all of that. But what are some of the things we can stay away from to prevent our getting to the high end of what we may not be able to afford? In about a minute each. I'll start with you, Dr. Krante.
Okay, so I'd rather say there are some things you cannot get away from because life is happening.
Indeed.
Life is happening. So
that's why I said there are stresses, work, school, and all that. But beyond
that, the thing is, like I mentioned, there's help available. Anything you observe, let's just say it's not even you, but then you observe with a friend, a colleague, your spouse, that is out of the norm for that person. You shouldn't just brush it aside. Don't explain it or spiritualize it away. Have the conviction. Like there's something the person is doing. It's usually backed by a reason. I keep saying, try to find the why. And then let's see, your wife comes one day, starts sprinkling salt around. And this is actually a Facebook post. Somebody complained, the wife is sprinkling salt around the house. And in the comment, oh, she's preserving your home, salt is for preserving, and all of that. And my question was, why are you doing this? Then you go and find out the wife says, oh, I'm hearing voices telling me that there are witches having meetings in this house. Then you realize that no, there is a problem. So anything that is out of normal with whoever you know, you should prompt it, have a conversation.
The difficulty is the spiritual angle because, you know, we're very...
Yes, it's society. We are very spiritual people.
So spiritual come, what's the other word? Superstitious.
Yes, exactly.
At the same time. And there are also those who are gifted spiritually, but sometimes it's difficult telling what is from God and what is
not. So yes, so that conversation, and with a trained eye, that's what I'm saying, seek help early. Rather than wait till the person is now stripping naked, and then now you know that, nah, this is problematic. But you noticed this years ago, but it just didn't click. We have to be more observant this time.
Okay, we have to be more observant this time. Dr. Ansa, you have the final word.
Yeah. So what I would say is that it is high time we need to remember that mental health is everyone's business. It is time to speak openly, support one another, and also invest in our mental health at every level of our life. Because each of us, we have a role to play in promoting our mental well-being. It is high time when you're going through certain issues, you talk about your feelings. Don't bottle things up. Stay active. And in psychology, we believe in something known as the fact that your thoughts influences your feelings and actions. So it is high time you need to stay positive out of certain adversities and know that there's necessary help. You need to stay active. Regular exercise also helps lift up your mood. Also, eating well and sleeping well is something which is really essential for all of us to do. Also, having a good social network is really, really what's important. That's social support. So always, it is imperative for you to stay connected with your family, friends, and the few people around you. Then the last thing is always seek help when you need it. You're coming for certain professional help doesn't make you a weak person or someone in quotes a crazy person or mad. Everyone, as I said, could go through. So it is for everyone, and we want you to feel better. So hence, if you are feeling overwhelmed, we want you to know that you are not alone. Help is always available because we have all necessary mental health professionals just to walk with you through the journey. Yeah.
If you're facing issues, don't bottle them up within yourself. If you have an issue, cry it out. Yeah, it can be therapeutic for you. You bottle it there. Oh, I shouldn't cry. Before you realize it, you are knocking on some doors you shouldn't be. There's a saying that it's because of bottling things up that the female coconut tree ended up with a hump. It's figurative, but if you keep everything inside, someday you will implode or explode. Those who joined us for this conversation this morning, Dr. Kwesi Enkwi Kranting, of course, he is with the Anchor 4 Hospital. He joined the conversation. We also have Dr. Kenneth Owusu-Ansah, a clinical psychologist. It's Purple Month. Let's all watch our mental health, how it impacts us and how it impacts others around us. We're taking a short breather and we'll return with In the Trends right here on the AM show. We'll be right back.
Good morning, Ghana. Another wild weekend on your timeline. And guess what? We are back with your favorite Monday morning Just Fix and the trends on the AM show.
Charlie, this weekend, the internet didn't rest. From the fallen city making a sly U-turn and slashing transport fares to the corruption expose that got people side-eyeing the U.S. Embassy.
All right. And just when we thought things couldn't get more intense, National Security storms Buntumi House and Chairman himself is out there calling for backup.
Charlie,
and a whole lot more.
I mean, Chairman is scared. The streets also have a conversation coming up for you. Of course, we'll be crossing over to Sweetie pretty shortly. But before that, let's serve you the stories making the headlines. And once again, we'll be bouncing it off with I call him TKS, Benjamin Akapo. Head is big for a reason. We'll be picking his mind on some of the issues that we've got for you. All right, heading on to our very first story for today as well. Transport fares reducing as the city appreciates. Just so you know, the last time we had a reduction of transport fares was somewhere in 2023.
Yeah.
Where the government made sure there was some 10% reduction. But Charlie Jackie, do you know what's happening? Now,
but first of all, this morning, was there any price reduction in your fare?
Well, I mean, I was a street boy, so I came with Trotro this morning.
I was actually looking to pick Trotro this morning, but I couldn't. There was a lot. The stations were packed with a lot of people. And one thing I realized was that they were doing the shortcuts. And I realized that most of them are not part of the GPRTU. Most of them are not in the station. Yeah. So they're just doing their own thing. But then Uber fares, I don't think they're part of this. So.
Okay, you need to for Uber. But man,
I have to come here for you guys.
I gave, from Omanjo to La Paz, 7 cities. I gave it to the driver and the mate, and he ended up giving me 6 cities. I'm saying, and then I cause I say, oh, no.
No, he ended up giving you
one city, like, as a balance. So meaning that, the change is being effected. But guess what? Over the weekend, a lady boarded, a vehicle headed somewhere from Circle.
Yeah.
And the driver was not going to buy into Yenteso, Yeah. And so guess what? The driver decided that if you're not going to pay the new fare, I am dropping you off where I picked you.
Yes.
So they moved from the Circle station somewhere around Achimota and they had to bounce back. There's a video of a lady ranting, talking about how she's shocked. I mean, Jackie, imagine a driver.
Like, pick me all the way from Circle going to Pokwase and let's take a look at the video.
Because we are refusing to pay the actual money he asked us to pay. The government said 50%. He's saying that he's not going to take that 50% from the money. And now we are on our way. He has brought us back to the station that we should get down. So guys, I'm in Circle right now. And the car loaded us and the car has come back to the station because we are refusing to pay the actual money he asked us to pay. The government said 50%. He's saying that.
Charlie, driver and the true one thereof. Jackie.
This is typical pettiness. But let's see what social media is saying. Let me calm down, Derek. So Leo Kulu says that's good from the driver. If the driver can buy anything at a reduced price, then there's no way he has to reduce his own. Make everybody get excess profits. And Jagodu says that Monday where the drama actually go happen. The car self, go get. Then Samsung can talk of reducing prices. But then the up comments we see here has to do with the CD appreciates. A lot of people talking about. So the first comment here says that Atu is really forcing pound. Yes. 3 cedis, please. I get things to buy. You're waiting for it to reduce to 3 cedis.
Yeah.
So that some of us can buy the things that we really want to buy.
I know, right?
And Serelak says that somebody check on Nigeria.
Because our currency is a lot more heavier than the Nigerian naira. And so if we are appreciating, then those guys are really struggling,
I know, right?
All right. Heading on to our very next story that takes over the timeline is the story you see behind us, which is the changey. The slide wants to, a changey. Corruption scandal at the U.S. Embassy. Guess what? Honorable Samuel Okujeto Blakwa wants to change the system of how we do things in Ghana. Not just in Ghana, but of course abroad.
I mean, their mantra is resetting. So.
Yeah, resetting. Everywhere under the President Mahama administration. Only for them to do some investigation and find out that the U.S. Embassy in Ghana, Ghana's U.S. Embassy, Ghana's U.S. Embassy, Ghana's embassy in the U.S., in Washington.
Yeah.
There's some, things going on, what we will call in our local parlance, Kululu, where the director of IT, Mr. Fred Quarton,
created his own backdoor website to
link.
the official visa website. And so as you are applying, you pay a certain fine, close from $29
to
$60.
Yeah.
As you are making some of those payments, it doesn't go straight to the coffers of the, the embassy. It goes straight to
his coffers, his personal business.
Jackie, isn't that sad?
That's sad.
Benjamin Akakpo, you have traveled in and out of Ghana. I don't know if some
every weekend he's not in Ghana, so
every weekend he's not in Ghana. I don't know if he's boarding the flight. His head is able to, make way through the cabin. But Ben, tell me, what do you make of, corruption in and out of Ghana? Isn't this extreme greed?
The U.S. Embassy to where? I was saying Tikasiano is for a reason.
I know, right?
But I mean, I've got to the point where nothing shocks me anymore in Ghana. And I'm just glad that this has been found out.
Yeah.
And they are seeking, putting in place remedial measures.
Yeah. Great. Of course, honorable, sorry.
So we am a Ben here this morning.
No,
you see, Ben is just trying
his
to...
His name is Ablakwa, not Blakwa.
You see,
Ablakwa.
Benjamin is just waiting for you to make that mistake and he'll just chip in.
He started it with the tickets, so I chopped my
breath. All right, let's see what social media has got to say on this particular issue.
Of course, so Betty says that, everywhere is not safe.
Charlie.
And Dream Girl says, good job. I don't know why some people are never satisfied in life. You have a good paid job, and yet you want to steal what your fellow human being, and yet you want to steal your fellow human being. Too bad. May God strengthen you to do more for your beloved country. Army Yao says that he must rather be prosecuted. Will not leave no stone unturned. Justice must prevail in due course. Honorable Minister, we are fully behind you to save us from the condemned past government. Yes, so social media has been reacting to this. This is actually a very shocking news and interesting one, knowing that you apply for your visa and all that, and you are paying someone is just
fees.
Taking more.
And this guy, I mean, just so you know, a lot of the staff have been dismissed. I mean, all the Ghanaians they've all been recalled. They've come back home. Like the sack, everybody has been sacked only because one IT guy. And just so you know, of course, I have a feeling that he's not alone. He has compatriots, accomplices, alibis, Great. Let's run into other stories making the headlines. And it's the story of national security raiding the house of Chairman Wontumi. And I like this headline. National security storms Wontumi's house. Chairman cries for help. Chairman, pow!
Now over to me.
Let's listen to the audio of Chairman crying and asking Ghanaians to help. We'll bring you comments after that.
Because they said the 1 million president in Ghana need you. Ghana for Musorio, Ghana for Musorio, and before you know Musorio, and before you know Musorio, and your Munti and a Mahama MC, the vice president. Me, Madam Board Soda, me, my DCO da, me, my minister da, I chairman in the media, and I want to make campaign in Mammy. I'm my campaign in my party, and I'm here, Juma. 2013, we are about the boom, Juma. Mubaye, my topping, my Juma, my count from far, be did.
Eric.
Charlie.
Yeah.
Just say, because if you know Chairman Wontumi, he's not somebody who kotos. No. He's not somebody who bows.
Yeah, this is the first time seeing him in this situation.
Man. And Benjamin, you have worked.
I'm even sniffing,
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish you could have played that song. You know that Grace Ashley song.
Yeah.
I just sang
it's fine. I think for me, it just tells you how power is transient. And how everybody is accountable. You will be accountable. You know how people say that Ghana, you think their laws are not in place. Until one day you find yourself, Chairman is calling for boys that Ghana for Mumbro. And this morning, I was listening to one MPP communicator say that they are busting supporters to bring them to Accra to come and support him. Benjamin, what do you make of Chairman Wontumi, the bold man who is able to bring gold on national television and talk about how in fact, he says that the difference between legal and illegal is a document. And once he has a way of getting his document, you cannot show him at a point in time he owned the Ashanti region.
You can't do me for
That's why I started by asking Ube to me.
Wontumi.
Wontumi. But I mean, in the end, all we're praying for is that the right things will be done. Whoever has fallen foul, the right processes will be done, but that his rights will also be protected. That's all.
Definitely.
Great.
All right. Social media. Alfred Asante says that But he said he doesn't fear anything. No one can do Foko.
Charlie.
Gabriel says that, and this is how the judgment day will be like, and the sinners will be wailing, Eradi Chimio, and we, the righteous, will be laughing and jumping. And also, Kofi Ima says that, I thought he said nobody can match his energy. Shege, who say man no day. I mean, so, social media, they were all reacting to the audio that you just heard of him. Yeah. A lot of comments from you guys on social media. Let's move on.
Jackie, take this last one. That comment at the bottom.
Take the last one for me.
Oh, yeah, so PhD counselor says that, but with all the gold, money, and white paint, how come the road to his compound is not tarred? If you saw the video, no. I was actually asking myself.
Wait, the man is in a fix and he's thinking of himself. Obi not on the compound.
No. You know, they had been in power for a lot. People were expecting that, the route to the chairman's house should be, sophisticated and all that. But you see, red.
Well, Jackie, he claims to be a very rich man, and so perhaps that's perhaps one of his properties.
Yeah, one of the numerous.
Yeah, one of the numerous properties.
Yeah.
Running you through the next story is a story where traders are back on the pavement. Jackie, my girl here, covered that story extensively last week. I beg your pardon. Jackie, tell me what you saw.
Last week, it started on Tuesday through to Friday. And I can't remember, this weekend, what we saw was at Kaneshi. That was the last place we were with the AME team. And on the bridge, I remember I stood there to do a report. I was so happy.
And you're going to see the video
right, center. There was no one there. Only for Joy Prime to go there on Saturday morning. Lo and behold, we see all of them there. So let's take a listen to this video.
One inside here, you can see that it's free. Her movement is not really constricted.
A few moments later.
So as you can see, things are a bit different from what we saw earlier in the week. So earlier in the week, we saw the place was empty. Today, Saturday, obviously, it's what you would call a market day. So as you can see, vendors are back on the footbridge.
Yes, Derek. Yeah, back. And I took a ride through town on Saturday, like through Accra town, and everybody's back. The pavement in the roads, everybody is back. I wish I could add those videos, but we don't have a lot of time on our side.
Benjamin, you have seen this recur many times.
Yeah.
This is not the first time we're doing a decongestion exercise. Do you ever think we would probably come to a place where the streets of Accra are going to be clean, not littered with hawkers and traders?
We can if we truly decide to crack the whip. It's like the dam spillage, Weija, right now. Yeah. People have built on the buffers. They'll tell you, but where do we go? I see a baby. I was just interacting with Stanley Mate. Same situation.
Yeah.
Some things can stop today in this country if we'll crack the whip and not care whose ox is God and, this person will not vote for me in the next election. We can do it.
It's true.
It will make us unhappy, but in the end, it will sanitize the system.
I agree with Benjamin a lot really on this because we are in a system where everybody is like, the norm has become, the illegality has become the norm.
Yeah.
And because every government comes, they sack them after 2 weeks. About 12, but what they about 20?
Yeah, they were trying to politicize this on the grounds. People were saying that this place is for the NDC people, this side is for the MPP people. And I was like, come on, this is for all of us. This is the routes that we all use.
Man.
You get it. But let's see what social media has been saying about this. So Kobe says that what's the use of our militiamen in various barracks eating, ironing, and polishing their shoes? Bring them to these markets to discipline some of these kalabule. You know, kalabule is not kalabule, right?
What's the correct word?
I think it's clever bully.
Yeah, great. Well, Jackie, hold for me for that. I just want to do a little education.
Yeah.
Just so you know, the military does not interfere into internal matters.
Yeah.
It's the police that is in charge of that. You leave the military, we only bring in the military as and when we have external threats, coming up. Yeah, Jackie, run me through the next.
All right, sure. So Wigglesworth says that Crown Metropolitan add some beatings to the decongestion exercise, please. They are asking, Charlie, by way and conform minimum. NDC official says that, please, let's allow them for weekends and from Monday to Friday, they should move away from the roads. I don't know about this, but this last comment says that it's not their fault. Change is a difficult thing. The traders have been socialized by past city authorities to think selling at such places is lawful and acceptable. Anyone who attempts to right the wrongs is deemed as an enemy. At this point, as usual, only the military can bring sanity in such places. Yes.
Well, we'll be crossing over to the ever beautiful Sweetie Albochi, who's standing by in Weija. To give us up to beat on what is happening because the dam and all of that has got issues coming up. But before that, of course, Jackie brought you the story of the rapping police officer who went viral for his life. And Jackie, guess what? He apologized for going viral. And just when we all thought the apology was going to be something, you know, yeah, listen to his apology.
That's a video for the day.
I'm sorry, my sister to you, don't worry. Yes, you can't miss your burden story. Oh, it is true, you know the story, I can't worry. And I saw the bicycle, oh, dear, my mentor, Lori. I can see Shaka Sika official, DK, take back me, Mamma post to me, Mamma share me, Mamma share me, Mamma football me, and then my need to transfer.
That was the apology.
Wrapping up, we say, Charlie, Adia Tomeni. Mami Simeni. I mean, we're crossing over to tickets. Benjamin, take it away.
Well, thank you very much, Derek Elom Ashlevi. I'm going to be nice to you today, but you do need a bigger head, as we have seen. But I'll let you cross over to Sweetie Abochi. Of course, today being a Monday, Ghana Glows just might come through at the end of the show as well. But she is in Lower Weija right now on the back of that spillage by the Ghana Water Company Limited. Sweetie, if you can hear me, what's happening in Lower Weija?
Right, Benjamin, we are here at Lower Weija trying to assess how seriously communities are taking that directive from Ghana Water Limited. You know that they're saying for the structural integrity of the dam, they have to do a controlled spillage. And there are particular areas who have to take caution. And in fact, they're asking them to evacuate to avoid past dam disasters that we've seen before. So I want to engage some of the residents here and understand how seriously they're taking that caution, or should I say warning, from Ghana Water Limited. Thank you for speaking to us. What's your name?
Williams.
Williams, when the dam is spilled, whether controlled or overflowing, does it come here?
Yes, please.
Okay. So you have past experiences of the dam overflowing and causing disaster here?
Yes, please.
Right. Now we are saying the Ghana Water Limited is issued another directive that those in these areas should evacuate, but it doesn't look like any evacuation is going on here right now. Why not?
Now, if they open it, it's not. Now it's so limited. It's not affecting us for now.
As in said, Nancy and Mahaba brain to moon too.
Yeah, no, David.
He said, accident. He said, "On more BSC and moon him so may be there."
But he said, "I'm tired."
Namunya worried saying so ne bia wetimi aba ha say oma wone mo say mun sisa mo nyoma na monko na munye just so that you are safe.
Now if they open it too much, it will affect us. But if it's so limited, it will not affect us.
So you are sure that the water will not come here?
If it's too much, it will affect us.
All right, so they're saying he's confirmed that indeed when they spill, it comes here, but he's not convinced that this time around the water would come here because it's a controlled spillage, just like they're saying. There's another resident here who we want to talk to. You're live on Joy News. We understand that Ghana Water Limited is saying evacuate so that you go to higher grounds because they started that controlled spillage of the dam again. Why are we still seeing activity going on here?
First, BNF first, no one can believe BNF. She be ane eba biene because of amegbele to monoma bina gbele tutuwe biane la gbele la ka no ani efe to biane mo fiamo efe no ko fio ye biene
shi akenya ake nye shi bie because nye le ekole eba nye bale ake spillage na feel control there eba nye ba ke disaster ni wona previous years eba nye ba ekun alo
ke ameke watching bie because of Chimbie, onyo shikpo hafa ni nu ebako sano machu me na tawo ni ehin biene won to develop ni won wo machu she dey fa le ke ba gbene no by 3 days no ete wolo egba wona.
Let me do a quick translation. So he's saying that yes, previously when they spilled the dam, the water does come here, gets flooded in the previous years, but these days it doesn't happen the same way. And I was inquiring as to the concern of whether or not if they don't heed the advice of Ghana Water Limited and the rain, the water comes here, what are they going to do? And they're saying that they're looking for developments because, I mean, the worst case scenario would take 3 days for the flood to dry up. And so that's not really the concern they have right now. Obanyo Chomi, which part does it affect? In a fita Weija Dam, so what you can see behind us is part of the Weija Dam. In fact, let him show us exactly which parts that usually get affected when they spill the dam. Affect. It will be an effect. It was shake.
More than that, now we know no honey bamona. She knew a poor issue by 3 days no by 3 days no ete.
I can control spillage. You want your shake bay alone, you know, GDA. I can if no go.
Not pay what our page. I'm about number chafa me hour. Come chafa me if I wow. No boba feel better hour. She care after chaku family down or I know him be a spawn bear. Spawn, no man, no what you mean. Now when you washing ni fiber cost spawn.
He's saying that they can't live here because this is where they live. This is where their houses and homes are built. What they rather want is for them to dredge this dam or lake that I see because that's what they need. Even if it floods or over floods, maximum 3 days, the water will dry up. So the real concern is dredging this place and helping them with development. So as to evacuation, it doesn't look like that's an option. I see some young men joining us. Please come and share your experiences with us. So we understand that when the Akosomo Dam, beg your pardon, the what's it called? Weija Dam is spilled to control the level, the safety operation level of the water. It comes here and it floods. Ghana Water Limited says evacuate, but you're still here. What's on your mind?
For now, no. Yes, a trim no mobile no eba hasi. But for now, we are not experienced that. So no, so mobile ni kesidia eba. But yes, to the normal times now, mobile in Cassia, a bahano. Until for now, dear, we are okay by maintain it like that.
Yeah, the way at the end, your pennies, I person being say, more times no, by.
But him say it's not in their control, so Mumbi say and no more Mumbi say. I didn't know Insio no dam they also operating at 47 feet and a safe operating level no. Sisi no because Insio when it starts raining, the Densu River flows into the water, which increases the water levels. Sisi latest check no at 45. I got 2 feet per ne do 47. Into Moka say Omumbi ni kesi into Monkwa. Are you not putting your lives in danger? I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Say bit me I happy sir. By the entire make actually say end musi ya my and say so mu be any say more times now. A man for nya information say biana is you know or maybe any more am I free alcohol. So by omu be no once now or more information be like almost start sell or mu be now about road, yeah.
Okay, so because of the information you have that it's a controlled spillage and you're not going to, it's not going to overflow. That's what's boosting your confidence. Now, person can be become.
Yeah, woman say, oh now, can't make believe far. Nue, wafen wale nue USA. Was any I mean a gauge, niket nue bar namina. Was any like a gauge, I make well like a gauge. Niket nue e bangwe. Na make bele one po alo two ibaho before dani kanu bonne ye segbe then the banye bangwe no one I'm sure ne am no ba hu before dan e wo geje dan am gbele o wo na am gbele ba fete wo me no wo yo bia shika geje no bangwe ni am na ka geje eni geje yo normal ba na me gbele to mo one alo two no ka gbele e ho. The disturb moko. Sika me mahu. Ne o nu eji. Then I'm billion, no, I'm a billion fan, I'm a bar of family.
He will update na ke hanye. No ne won nye show ake no disaster ko ba bie. He will hama bibo. Ke wo nyete shinye akenya ke that same day no eyi fe normal levels was any as spill more than necessary. Mini oba fe.
No you unpaid.
What fair arrangement niko ni noko bano obanyo evacuate.
O arrangement le wo fair arrangement jemo. No pay you unpaid. Beni fa yo na make bele tumo 2. Beni make bele la ehin wa. Kada na am fail la kashwa moko na problem e gan.
So he's basically saying that because of the information and the timely updates they've been getting, that's why they are confident that nothing untoward will happen. So there's no need to evacuate to forestall any danger. They don't see any danger. And I was asking that if they wake up tomorrow and Ghana Water Limited says that they're getting more than necessary, or the dam is overfilled and so they have to spill, do they have any arrangements in place to ensure that they are moving their families to safety? And he says, well, they have arrangements. What kind of arrangements? No fee. Minto mana.
No, you arrangement eji. What people were here can be in a far by BMbo. Or any afi agbele ofa. Walk into any marriage in Lebeni agbele fire by gauge neighbor. Well, marriage more than that. Ni muka agbele eba this step no.
Okay. He said he's been living here for a long time, and I mean, the spillage has become almost annual. Truthfully, it's become nearly annual, not entirely every year, but it's become quite annual. I want to find out from the young men what other arrangements they've also done. Please walk with me. So, have you also made some alternative arrangement? He's saying that if he knows whether or not to raise his building, exactly what to put in place to ensure that in case he smells danger, he can run away or something. What about you? What do you have planned?
Yansi sana yansi ya make arrangement because say insurance na nam brand can omu bie ni say man we are okay say oh say no mo bie no okay be ba besin akọ say de bia na say dru gauge no say wumbia na wo twen na gauge no etra gauge na wo bia and na cause flood e ba ha inti say e ba ni say a wo bie ni kakra nkra man oh, ebedu sa time no ebedu gauge na bibia ye okay na.
I mean, if I was living here and I was told that I should prepare for possible flooding or I should evacuate, I'll be the first person to leave.
Oh, so ahana yatna ntino. To me ka say yen free hanum say yenko.
Inti muni baby akọ, is that the case? Ye na nti mbese ye ben dam ne kakra.
Because yen so ahana yen so ye den yete. Because at 2 years time 3 years I ba ha no. Se na ye wa ha na e ba ha. Nti akọ ye na say asan ba ha.
Na e ba first na affect mo and shake mo.
E affect.
Inti ada na shake you, ada na why are you still waiting?
For one let mo gbo.
What is Gbo?
Tumo wanya ho.
Okay,
far menegboni. Well, oyemi awuni mukubasra bu. Only about 3 days more buy. Well, far one like normal.
So you can live with the water, you can live with the flood. No matter the degree of flooding, you can live with it.
Live all right. We don't pay on page. I'm ba number chafa mi awo. Come chafa mi. Wo be issue kukla, wo be na agba. Nu e be na agbele le normal. Catch fa me no ka gbele no ehu
o agbele no ani no ebote nya chu ami dan
enu ehu o sho gauge ne gauge yo jeme
So he was also saying that the water is like a visitor. Occasionally it comes in, and no matter how high it gets, in a matter of days it will dry up. So I was asking how badly they've been affected before, so that I can understand why they are so confident. He says there's a gauge. Gauge ene. Wait. Say that again.
Last 3 years, ni aufa.
So that's the mark. Oh, actually, I don't know if my cameraman can show you. There's a light yellow line there.
Problem by Kofodua. BNN mark yo. She normal one agbele like eba BNN ba joint. Wo na issue kukla. Wo nyo wo hin mi. For 3 days,
okay, so he's saying that when they open the dam, in the controlled spillage, the normal one we are seeing right now. Okay, Shengbe, it should be. This is the level that the water gets to, and the extreme one is what we see over there. Where should be a down?
No, you know, I will 2 years time. I believe it cock more SCFN, no be an issue. No SCFN, no, I will have problem neighbor.
So I guess that's why he's very confident. I've seen some women here as well. Let me engage them and get their perspective on the matter. Oh, where are you going? How are you? Yeah, so why are you still here? I mean, they've told you to evacuate. Okay, let me speak to the man of the house. Father, how are you? Let me sit beside you. So we've been told that they are going to, they've started spilling the dam again in a controlled way. You've been asked to evacuate, but everyone seems very comfortable.
Oh, madam, that one there is okay. Because the first time they open, we all will go. We love here. So nowadays they limit the dam. They open us small. I don't know the people they are open again more. I don't know.
Are you not concerned? You have little children here. Look at these pretty, handsome little ones that you have. If something happens right now, if by way of emergency, Ghana Water Limited says, move right now because you have excess water that we are spilling, what do you do?
If they give you some place, I will move.
So is it because you don't have anywhere to go?
No. No, sir. No, madam. I don't have any place. If be here, I can't stay for a long time.
So what's the plan, just in case something happens right now? Today, what do you do? Do you have a plan? Do you have an arrangement?
No, I don't have any arrangement for that.
Well, thank you for speaking to us. So here we are. And boss, any final words? Because, I mean, those watching us right now also wondering how you are going to manage the situation. Final words before we go.
Well, yeah, woman, me per se, di we no ameba chafa mi ehawo kamba chafa mi eba wa was simple fa na cha mi wo no won ke agbele nu egbo chika ba chafa mi egbeda e ka agbele nu eba ya slow eba pepe ni problem go kra ba wo chika mi kam wo fan e bi re ja me taw shpon awo no wa mamtu na matu awo no dani wo anyo fan ni wo nya wo shi fa hu ni eba ko shpon want to develop your gun.
All right, so there you have it. They're saying that what they actually need is for this to be dredged, this dam, which is part of the Weija Dam, to be dredged and development. And what I'm gathering here is that they've been living here most of their lives, and it doesn't really matter how high the water gets, and they are confident that in a matter of days it will dry up, and so they're okay. And they also have some arrangements in place. Someone says he knows whether or not to raise his building. I'm really concerned about the little ones, just in case something untoward happens. But as you can see behind me, this is part of the Weija Dam, and this community here in Lower Weija is part of the places that gets flooded when Ghana Water Company Limited spills the dam in a controlled way to protect the structural integrity of the dam. And that's how we're wrapping up for the AM show right here in Weija with me, Sweetie Abochi. But today being a Monday, of course, we are leaving you with Ghana Grows Changing Narratives, brought to you by MasterCard Foundation. And that is coming up in the next 5 minutes. After that, off we pop. Thank you for watching.
Life was okay until my mom passed on. I decided to hop on a business because I'm the first child and my siblings look up to me. That is why I decided to invest in this business. My name is Mercy Sambian. I do wig, I teach, I sell hair bundles, and I do makeups. I started this business around 2020 when I lost my mom. That time, I was in my first year in the university. I had no one, and I'm the firstborn. So I decided to do something for myself. I thought of doing a lot of things, but why don't I invest in hair? Because I'm in the university and ladies love hair. They love wearing wigs. So I decided to invest in that one. At that time, I had only 1,000. So I contacted someone in Tema. I told her I want to start a business. I gave her the money and then she brought me some hair. I took pictures of them and posted it on my social media handles. I got people asking how much. Came back to the hostel and I sold it to them. So along the line, when I realized people were buying and patronizing me, I decided to go and learn how to make wigs. So I learned it, I added makeup and then rebranded myself. That's how it all started. So it started 4 years ago and I've been able to train more than 20 students.
In 2022, I heard about her training and then I came for a section. And afterwards, I was given the opportunity to work here, and since then, I've been working with her.
Everything I say, I'm not meeting no baby. A bra, Sambi started so yemitino. My home is a different baby. Meeting I have me 3 young as an I have, and I regan so saw this seminar. Baby, I made Ruby, I know be able to summon nebo. Or bet me about here, about your regan amount. Or bet me swine when a Jumam Nordi, I bet shower, or cry by on one said, no, by a pepper. I'm at the office or the be, I'll bet me the eye. Dear semi crown on the yea. On the yea, I was also pepper.
This business has impacted positively in my life because initially I was in my room, I was doing it in my hostel, and I had few customers. Now I've been able to get a shop, and as a doom, it's not easy to get a shop here in a doom. I've been able to train more than 20 students. I have a lot of workers. Looking at where I'm coming from, I took care of myself in the university. An average student in the university pays like 2,000. Through the same business, I was able to take care of myself 4 years, help my siblings, I help my family, I can send money home. So it's been so good.
Since I joined Sambian's Hair and Makeover, it has been okay because she's a very good motivator. It has been so good and helpful.
Where I see my business in the next few years, I still feel I've not gotten to where I want to be. I'm still in my lowest. This is a small shop I got for myself. Let's say it's a gift I got for myself. I'm hoping in the next year, not next 2 years, next year, but in the next year, I want my business to expand. I want to see young ladies, I want to see girls wearing my brand. So I want to get a bigger space where I can train lots of girls. I want to impart knowledge because I love to impart knowledge into young ladies.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, for the advice, for the sisterly love. May God bless her so much and make this business bigger and bigger.
I heard about Ghana Growth a few days ago and I decided to read on it. And I think it's a good initiative because they are educating young people to know about career, to better themselves and work for themselves. It's good. My name is Sambian Mercy. I'm the CEO of Sambian's Hair and Makeover. I'm into hair and makeup. Ghana Growth Hope Day.
Ghana Grows Hope Day.